What is up? I am live. Dazeni will be here in a minute. West Main Auto was in the chat. What's up, man? It's been a long time. Saw that name. It's like, man, we got Juan. Learning with Juan in the house. Or was in the house, not sure. One person's here. Maybe it's me. I'm a little bit early. What's up, man? West Main Auto. What's up, dude? How you been? Are you still a police officer? Pretty sure that's what you were doing before. Last time we did a chittle chattel. A. Murray. What's up, man? Armando Herrera. What's happening? Welcome to the last live stream of 2022. That was Dazeni's idea. He was like, we need to go live one more time for the end of the year. Do a cheers to Friday. Frank Drebin, what's happening, man? How are you? Oh, West Main Auto is injured and he's been out for a while. That's a bummer. Sorry to hear, man. My buddy Dazeni is going to be here soon. So he's another tech in Texas. Not another tech in Texas. He's another tech. And he lives in Texas. So he's one of my friends. So Chrysler technician, what's happening? How are you? I should tell TikTok that I'm going live because some people watch TikTok and some people don't. Some people watch Nick Hildebrand. What's up, man? Live on my YouTube channel right now. Come check it out. Me and It's Dazeni. Let's get it. All right. I have found out that some people are TikTok people and some people are Instagram people. Yeah, 1 second. Sorry. I didn't think about putting that on. Oh, no. Wrong. I think I messed it up, man. Diesel Dog. What's up, brother? Oh, the Diesel Dog, man. This guy, he's this week he was the diesel and gas dog. Working on a pretty badass old car. I don't know what the hell I did. Let me do it again because I think I messed it up. I think I hit story. I don't know what I did. Man, 2022 is almost over. Yes, sir. It has been a good year, though. Oh, sweet. Chrysler technician. That is awesome. Man, I could tell you right now, I've never worked in a dealership, but I work on a lot of vehicles. And I can tell you that moving from Dodge to Toyota is the best move you could ever make. All right, let me try this again because I think I messed it up. Live right now on my YouTube channel with Dazeni. Check us out. All right. Yep, that is great advice right there. Are you going to be doing your mobile stuff, West Main Auto? Sorry, guys. I had my first TikTok hit a million views today. So pretty stoked about that. So trying to Trying to keep that going. So, there's my friend right there. What's
I
up,
was just gonna, I was just gonna text you. Are we live already?
brother? What's up, man? Chrysler technician was just talking about how you were giving him some advice about moving from Dodge to Toyota.
Yeah. What's going on?
That's the best advice you can give anybody. How are you, man?
I'm doing good, man.
Yeah.
I've had like allergies all day today. It's been bothering me, but other than that, pretty good.
Is it because you got out of work like hella early? You
Probably.
started drinking early?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
sir. Good stuff.
What time did you guys quit? What time was that?
Shit. I stopped working like around 1:30.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, before that, we just left like at 1:30.
Did you not have any work, or you guys just decided to call it quits early and say fuck it?
Yeah, I call it quits. Yeah, like it was
Nice, man.
it's like our Christmas lunch.
Oh, nice.
What's going on,
How's it going
brother?
at the new shop?
Pretty good, man. Shit. It's cool. It's different because never had co-workers.
Right.
So it's pretty cool, And then I guess being able to clown on each other, when we fuck up. I'm gonna start a new series, man. It's gonna be because we got Tech Tip Tuesday or Cool Tool Thursday, Rinse Drawer Wednesday. I'm gonna start a
Tones Tools Tuesday. Come on, man. You
yeah
forgot
that
about
one. That's the one I was talking about.
that?
I just swapped it up with Thursday. So I'm gonna start fuck up Fridays.
Ah.
see if we get some other people like on social media like and see what they fucked up during the week. This week was pretty rough, man. I'm not even gonna lie.
What happened?
So let's see. And it was just everybody. I don't know, things are just like so I had to do an engine on a charger. It was a used engine.
What size?
3.5.
Oh, okay.
Very easy.
A lot of room in there.
Yeah, what did I do? I remember that's what the first thing was. So the engine mounts were shot completely. So I told the boss, hey, give me some new mounts. They're already out. Like, might as well put them in. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and then the only things we can get were power torques from O'Reilly's. And so put them on or whatever. And I looked at them. I was like, all right, yeah, they look the same. And I didn't pay attention to detail. Stabbed the motor, man, and things wobbly. It's like, and there's no transmission in it. I pulled the transmission because it took less than an hour, and I think it actually took like an hour and a half. But I was chilling, and it was wobbly. I was like, man, this thing's too wobbly. I was like, I don't know. I'll worry about it later. Let me finish putting everything up top. Because I just wanted to start it, make sure it starts.
Right.
And then I raised it up so I could start doing the stuff on the bottom. And I noticed the mount's not sitting flush on the frame. I'm like, what the hell? So I'm like trying to like pry the engine, see if it like falls into place, but it has like two big studs on the frame that go in, so it shouldn't. So I put my mirror up there and I can see the actual engine mount has like two bolts that come this way, and then it has the long studs. Well, these bolts from that are part of the mount were hitting the frame.
Oh crap!
And I was like, son of a bitch. So had to remove the mounts out, and then I got a Sawzall. I cut them flush and I put them back on and sat it right, and then got that fixed. And then there was a oil cooler hose that was pre-molded and stuff, and I had to figure out a way to fabricate one. I ended up ordering Dorman cells. If you ever need one, Dorman cells 26-degree elbow heater hose connector or heater hose bypass.
Okay.
And it has different fittings. It's 5/8 fittings, but you can change to whatever size you need.
Right.
And so I used that because it came down like this, It was a U the way it was shaped. So I used that with some other hoses too. Anyway, so I get that on. And when I was doing that, I had noticed on the oil pan like a small drip of oil. And I was just like, I didn't think nothing of it. I was like, maybe just picked up some oil from the frame or something, you know. I was like, yeah, whatever. So I wiped it down, start looking at everything, make sure everything looks good. And then I go and I see the oil pan again, has another drip of oil. And I'm like, what the fuck? I just cleaned this shit. Wipe it down, and then I'm looking and I'm watching, and yep, I see the oil come out again. I was like, son of a bitch, this fucking pan has a hairline crack. Hairline
Oh,
crack. So I was like, ugh.
that's
So I had to do the oil pan, and I already had like the transmission and everything in, like ready to go, you know, just so I had to do the oil pan, and then I did the oil pan or whatever. Lower it, and I pressure test the system, make sure all my hoses are good. You know, I fabricated that one hose, so I want to make sure that didn't leak or anything like that. And the coolant tank reservoirs broken, so now I got to replace that. And so it was just like problems with
oh my
that, problem
god.
after problem with that engine job. And I was like, my boss come up to me, he's like, yeah, the customer called me. He's like, I thought it was a 2-day job, and I was like, me too. It just like kept
Oh my
going.
god.
And then what happened with Mark? So
That sucks, dude.
I can't remember. Something happened with Mark. I don't know if it was this week or last week. Oh, Mark was doing a timing belt on a Kia Soul, right? And it had been somewhere, and there was so many mismatching bolts with a bunch of washers, and he noticed the alternator wasn't plugged in, and like it was like random bolts in it and stuff like that, and whatever. He found some good bolts, or he tried to fix it right, plugs it in, and gets it running and stuff, and out of nowhere, like I walk into the shop, and I was like, man, what the hell's burning? Like something's burning. Fucking alternator locked up
Oh my
on the
god.
on the
Fully
Kia
locked up?
Soul. Yeah, and like it ended up like eating up the belt and stuff like that. And it was funny because another guy was like, "Hey, the car's smoking," and Mark was like, "Oh, it's probably." Mark was like, "It's probably just some coolant or something burning off." You know, he didn't think nothing about it. And fucking yeah, it was damn alternator locking up,
Wow, that's crazy, dude.
and then what else happened?
Hey, Big Puppy Tools is in the house all the way from the land down under. Great supporter right there, Big Puppy Tools. Just want to make sure I don't want to forget people over here.
Go for
Got
it.
a couple people here.
West
Westland
Main.
Auto, man, you are correct. I am almost at 20,000. I'm pretty excited. I about a week and a half ago, I got a memory that said I had 200 subs 2 years ago. So,
Dang, it's only been 2 years.
yeah. Wait. Yeah, 2 years. Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's cool because I've only been in it for 3, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe 4. I don't know. I'm a slacker.
So, yeah, pretty stoked. I'm trying some new stuff now. I'm trying some I got some new style of content coming mixed in because I don't always have the opportunity to film
Work. Uh-oh. We're
going
frozen.
through a code or a symptom or showing you how to replace something. I don't always have that luxury, and so I'm gonna try to do some stuff where just kind of show you how to do stuff, but then you kind of see me working. So I'm gonna have like a tripod set up, trying to show it, and I'm gonna have to do a lot of voiceover. So I'm gonna see how that
Uh,
goes. I've done a couple. I did a BMW, but I don't know if the camera was close enough to get a decent picture.
Digit.
Where
You're gonna have to
trying
use
a
like
water
a
pump on a older BMW.
instead of a streamlight, you're gonna have to use a GoPro with the
Yeah,
tripod like that.
and
So
then I go, well, the only problem with that is you don't ever know like your picture, like you don't really know what your where your picture is. So, anyways, so I'm working on that. I'm gonna see how that goes. I'm doing a 4.2 Trailblazer that came in towed in crank no start, and
4.2.
I found
That's
that
the
the 5-cylinder.
5-cylinder. Okay, that's
Yeah,
like
and I found that the injector harness comes around the back of the intake manifold, and then it's got a connector to it connects to the ECM harness, and a rat chewed on the ECM side, chewed the connector, all the wires off the ECM side of the connector. So we're either going to straight wire it, or we're going to find a male and female connector, and then I'll just wire those in. So anyways,
Just put a new engine in it.
I got it. Yeah, I got.
You're cutting out.
But so yeah, so I was kind of filming that, kind of showing the work. To kind of, I noticed there's a lot of people out there that make videos, and some of their content is maybe a little bit sped up of you working. You kind of see in the not the whole video, but some,
time lapse like
time with like some music or maybe some voiceover. So, anyways, just something I'm playing with, just trying to. It's kind of hard, especially going into the wintertime. Wintertime's tough. We have 11 technicians. So it's
that's crazy. It's a lot of tech.
We slow down. The good thing is the master techs usually get fed. So like we don't have we have some guys that they're like the express guys, kind of like one guy, he's the express guy. And then we have a couple of the guys that do oil changes, but like when they sell work, they do the work. But if we're out of work, then their work pushes over. So we get the master guys, we get the work that way. So
stay fed. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
No, I've been trying to record. Like the other day, I don't know if you posted. I had a Nissan Versa or something like that, where it had no reverse, and like I was trying to like show the process. I saw that and I didn't get to record and post the end results of like the verifying the repair, like showing like when I was back probed into the harness, showing that like now it's shifting to other gears, it drops to 0 voltage. I didn't get to do that, but I'm trying to get it situated. I've had situations like that where I filmed like a whole video and I got almost everything I needed, and then I was missing like one part. And so I would just do like a quick little, hey, I totally messed up on this part, but this was the outcome of this, and just kind of put that little blurb in there, so I don't lose the whole video, But just an idea. For sure. Yeah, I'm gonna try it out. I need a.
Well, that's good, man. I got here's my. What'd you say?
I said I need a new phone because my audio doesn't record well anymore.
Oh,
that's kind of why I stopped recording.
That sucks. Got to use my U-scope the other day. I used it for a scope and ignition on a Subaru.
Pretty easy.
Oh man, it was beautiful. I did a little clip on I think TikTok and Instagram, and showed like what the good signal looked like, and I showed the dead coil, and then I had a bad plug wire.
That's really good, like on Nissans, man. Like when they don't get misfire data.
Right.
We actually working on a lot on Nissans.
The ignition paddle is not that good. I tried it on 2 vehicles and it wouldn't pick up ignition.
Really?
And diagnostic dentist told me that that's the downfall to that, is that the paddle doesn't always work.
I haven't had a problem with it yet.
I tried 2 cars, it didn't work on either one. I tried it on my 2012 Sienna.
On coil paddles?
Coil unplug. Yeah, I tried it on my 2012 Sienna and it wouldn't pick up anything. And then I tried it on a car at work and it wouldn't pick up anything. And then I haven't had a chance to use it because I don't necessarily have to scope stuff a lot. And as much as it seems awesome to get the scope out and scope all these problems and do all this stuff, it takes time to do all that. And I don't have time to do all that, especially if I don't need to scope it to find the problem. I have to get work out. And so, the main focus for me is getting work in and getting it out, so if I can film and keep it going along the way, that's fine. But I don't have the luxury of scoping stuff if I don't need to scope it. And so I've been trying to work on a video with the U-scope, just showing a bunch of different, I got like a couple more things I want to film with it. I still don't have my low amp probe though. They were out of stock. Yeah, because I bought the master kit. And they messaged me and said, hey, we have everything except the low amp probe. We can send it to you and then send you the clamp when it comes. And then I messaged them like a little after when they said I would get it. And they're like, "Oh yeah, it's still on back order." And so I actually got to email them. So,
It's kind of rough, man. I don't like that, like not being able to get when you pay for something. You know what I mean?
well, I mean, they were otherwise. The reason that it went this way is because I asked for it. Otherwise, I would still be waiting for my kit. Because remember, it was on back order when I was going to order it the first time. It was on back order for they didn't even know when. It could have been 6 months.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't order it, and that's why I went to the mix sig. But I'll tell you what, it was super simple. I hadn't used it in a while, and I really haven't used it much. But I picked it up, hooked up the ignition, and I was scoping the ignition in 5 minutes from picking it up from not touching it for a while. So that was pretty awesome.
We went from salt and pepper seniors to Santa's reject since we talked.
Hang on, I got to figure out how to block this. Hang on. Okay.
The mega. How do those even get in?
All right. Yeah. So, oh man. So check this out. So I had a Dodge Nitro come in, and I had a bunch of stuff about it, on social media, Instagram, TikTok, things like that. Anyways, had a Dodge Nitro, and there was no air out of the vents.
Mm-hmm.
It only blew out of the defrost in the floor. All right. So I confirmed that everything was working. I took the actuator off. No, I couldn't take. Wait, no. Anyways, I confirmed that everything. Oh, I know. I took the actuator off and I moved the mechanism, and it still didn't blow out of the vents. And I was like, okay, well, something's wrong in the box because I mechanically moved the mechanism, and it's not blowing out of the vents. So I pull the dash, and I see the vent door is melted closed from the insulation. They have this rubber around it, right, to seal it. Well, it melted, and it melted the door shut. And it's super common. I think it was Grease Monkey Mobile. I think he messaged me and said, "Oh man, I've had I had one or two of these on a Jeep." So it's just a Chrysler problem. But anyways, so we have to order the air distribution box, which is the top part of the HVAC box, which has all the doors in it. When you get it, it has everything except for the actuators. All the mechanical levers, they're all in. They're all on the box, and you just put your two actuators on one side. And so, anyways, I told my service writer, I was like, "Hey, it'd be a good idea to put a heater core in this while it's out. They're common to fail." And I don't know if the customer didn't have a lot of money or what, but we didn't do it. And so I put it back together, and I started it up and worked on, one or two or.
You cut out.
Ah, dang. Come on.
Are
we back?
Yeah. You start. Let's start hearing you saying about you jumped on two other cars after you got it running.
Oh yeah, so I had it running, and I'm still not getting any heat out of it. And it was the end of the day, so I parked it under a car. So in the morning, I could come in and start it up. So in the morning, I come in, start it up, and I'm looking at a Sprinter, I think. And then all of a sudden, I look over, and there's this big, giant puddle of coolant under it. And I was like, oh, crap. I go over there, and the water pump's puking. Like, I'm watching it just run out of the water pump, right? So I'm like, all right, it needs a water pump and a thermostat and whatever. So we do that, and I get done, and I still don't have any heat. And it's weird. It's like, I'm just not getting heat. And I'm like, at this point, I'm thinking there's got to be an air bubble somewhere, I used an airlift, but I have had every once in a while, maybe about 4 times in 15 years, where the airlift, where I had a problem with the heater. There was just an air bubble that didn't pop. And anyways, I have had that happen. So we're fighting it, we're checking it, we're doing all this, taking heater hoses off, and finally we're like, you know what? It's got to be the heater core. Everything else is working fine. And so they tell the customer, hey, we'll put a heater core in it. You just buy the part, and we'll put it in. And so anyway, so I put it in, And when I took it out, you could totally see all the chunks inside the heater core.
Yeah.
But you couldn't see them before because it has the tubes that disconnect.
Oh, okay. Like
So like the
they
heater core
bolt
is
on.
like this big. Yeah, and then the hoses, it's got two metal tubes that bolt on with a clamp and an O-ring. So, anyways, I got that done, so that was good.
So I told you the last time I'm not allowed to do oil changes anymore.
Oh yeah, what
No, I
did you
remember I
do to
told you.
the boss's car?
When I first started, I think it
Yes,
was like
they
the
are.
second week.
Price.
I left a oil filter cap off a Cadillac. Like I started it up,
Oh
and then like I turned it off, and I was like, I saw oil on the floor. I was like, what the hell, did I forget the drain plug? Like, and then I'm looking, and I'm like, oh crap, I never put the fucking oil filter. So I'm going. So I had it spit out 6 quarts in like
Wait,
3
you left the
seconds, right?
oil filter off?
Yeah, like completely off. It was the Cadillac, the CTS 3.6. They got the ones on the side and everything. I pulled it off to let it drain and everything, and I don't know, I must have got distracted for something, and I poured oil in it, and then went to go turn it on and never replaced the filter, so it shot out, right?
Oh my god!
And then that was like the second week at like the new shop, and then yesterday, my boss was he was doing an oil change for a customer, and then he comes up and I had just finished washing my hands. He's like, hey, can you finish up that oil change for me real quick? He's like, just top off the washer fluid and pour the oil. I already got it there. I was like, sure. He's like, and put the oil sticker. I was like, yeah, I got it. And I don't know. I just fucking poured the oil, poured the washer fluid, turned it on, checked the dipstick, closed the hood, and put the sticker in. Shipped it. And then he texted me like at 10 at night. He's like, hey, you forgot the oil filter cap or the oil cap.
Oh,
And I was like,
what kind of car was it?
It was a Nissan Altima. So I just went and got the Altima, put the oil cap on, checked the fluid. It was actually still pretty full, so didn't lose
Did it make a
much
big
at
fat
all.
mess, or did it have a nice block on the valve cover?
No, I made a pretty good oily mess. I just washed it, cleaned it up, everything, and then that was the end of it. But
oh my god,
it was bad.
What'd you do to the boss's car?
No, that was the one he had texted me on. It was that one.
Oh, that was the one you were talking about?
Yeah. He's like, you left the oil filter.
Shit.
I was like, crap. So I
Oh
told him, I
my
was like,
god.
I'm not allowed to do oil changes anymore.
Oh, that's funny. Man, I had a weird one this week. I had a Sprinter, 03 Sprinter that come in, and the complaint was it won't turn off unless you pull the starter fuse. It'll start just fine. And when you turn the key off, the dash lights all turn off and everything, but it won't quit running. Kind of weird, right?
Is that usually like an alternator problem?
It's an 03 Dodge Sprinter. And so earlier Sprinters are a pain in the ass. Wiring diagrams and stuff, they're a pain in the ass. So anyways, I'm looking at this thing and I'm trying to, in my head, I'm like, okay, ignition switch, right? Ignition switch. Turn the key off. It doesn't turn off. There's got to be the ignition switch. In my head, that's what I'm thinking. I look in Identifix. There's nothing. All right, cool. I always do an Identifix search just to, if there's a corner I can cut or a direction
Find
to
the
look,
problem
to speed things up, not to diagnose it for me, not to throw apart. I always test it,
just
but
give you a
to kind of point
direction.
Yeah, and so anyways, I'm checking it. I'm looking at the wiring diagram, and and it's in the shop. It's running in the shop, and we have one guy in the shop who he's not very fond of diesels running in the shop, and he gets quite mad. Or if you have stinky cars in the shop, he gets quite mad, and he's very verbal about it. And so there was a 6-liter running like 2 bays over from me, right? And this thing had been running for about 15 minutes. And I need to go research a little bit on the wiring diagram. And so I was like, all right, I better, pull a fuse and, cut it off. And so I look at the list of fuses and I'm just going down the list, right? And number 4 I think 4 through 8 or 4 through, I think 4 through 8 were key on engine running fuses, right? And so I just went down the list. Fuse 4, pulled it. Nope. Fuse 5, pulled it. It cut off. Okay, cool. All right. So I'm testing it. I'm going down. I was like, all right, it's this circuit. I figured out the circuit. I was like, it's this circuit. And so I go sell diag time because I'm my hour's up. I'm going to need a couple hours to go unplug modules and stuff like that. And so my service manager, you still there? I'm not cutting out, am I?
No, I'm listening. Sorry.
My service manager, he's really smart. He's been in the industry for a long time. He has way more ASEs than me, and he remembers everything. So we're looking at it together, right? And I get my diag time, and I come back, and he goes, "So I'll tell you, it's going to be the brake light switch." And I was like, "What? I haven't even touched it yet, right? I literally just walked up to the car. How the hell do you know it's going to be the brake light switch?" He goes, "Well, you pulled fuse number 5 and it cut off. That's the brake light switch." Okay. So I go pull the brake light switch out, and we discover the brake lights don't turn off. And so I pull the brake light switch out and disconnect it, and it's off. Okay, cool. So we sell a brake light switch. I put a brake light while it's hanging under the dash. I start it, turn it off, start it, turn it off, start like 3 times. Okay, cool. It works perfect. But wait, let me see what happens when I push the button. Then I discovered it would only turn off if your foot was off the brake. So if you were to have your foot on the brake and turn the key off, it wouldn't stop running until your foot was off the brake. As soon as you left your foot off the brake, turns off. Or if you pulled up, put it in park, and took your foot off the brake, it would turn off. All right, that's weird. So we go talk to the customer, hey, is this something that has happened? Was it like this before? No, it wasn't like that before, whatever. So we go start messing around with the lights in the back. The 2 brake light bulbs in the back had shorted across each other. Literally, it was connected from one side of the bulb to the other. So the bulbs were shorted. So we changed the bulbs, and then everything worked fine.
And this was on what?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I messed up. So, yeah, so that's what was causing it. So the bulbs were shorted, and so it was back feeding back to the switch. And so because the bulbs, when you look at a bulb on the bottom of like a, I'm trying to think of like a 1356, that kind of bulb, right? You look at the bottom of the bulb and it's got two spots and they're not connected. Well, this was connected. It had shorted across both bulbs. And so the bulbs were causing it to backfeed voltage back to the switch and not allow it to cut off. So, yep.
Interesting.
But it was weird because as long as your foot wasn't on the brake, it would turn off. With the old switch,
so maybe it
was just different problems.
So then the brake switch being,
it was one of those things where, what?
I was saying, so the brake switch being depressed was like completing, like letting the circuit stay on. Then if you let it go, then it left it open.
Yeah, and it still energized that circuit because that circuit actually fed into an ECM circuit also. Yeah, it was weird.
Gotcha.
It was a weird one. It was one of those ones where if you looked at a wiring diagram, if there was an ASE question about that problem, you would fail. No one would get it right unless they had ever seen it because it didn't make sense. Even on a wiring diagram, it still didn't make sense.
Like how it.
In the end, you just have to go, oh, wow, okay. So that was it. All right, I'm going to remember. I'm going to try to remember that one because that didn't make sense,
Well, see, it's funny you talk about that because the Nissan I was messing with the no reverse, Mark and this other guy Ryan there, the Master Techs, and they were telling me that there's a thing about these Nissans about the reverse lights causing a no reverse because of like backfeeding or something like that. And they were real hesitant on me checking the lights. Like not hesitant, real like check the lights. But I was like, I'm gonna check the rain switch first, cause I mean, I'm gonna check that first. But I've heard like they were telling me that was causing the problem because of the reverse light was like backfeeding and not letting the car go into reverse.
Oh wow.
So
Yeah, I never
weird
heard
how
of that.
thing weird how thing works.
Wow. I remember back in the day, I remember I had a Jeep. It was like a Jeep Liberty, I think. And another tech had sold a starter and a transmission control module because it wouldn't start. And it wouldn't start because of the so this guy sold a starter and then he sold a transmission control module. And the problem ended up being the solenoid pack in the transmission.
Mm,
So the reverse goes through the solenoid pack, and or not reverse. I'm thinking of two different cars. The
like
range
park
switch goes through the transmission. So if the transmission doesn't see park,
or neutral.
it won't allow the starter to work. And because the solenoid pack had failed, and I had another Jeep later on do the same exact thing, except for the reverse lights didn't work.
Was it a Nag
And
one?
I don't remember.
The Mercedes
But the
transmission?
reverse lights didn't work, and the problem was the solenoid pack in the transmission. It wasn't allowing the voltage to transfer through in reverse.
That's very interesting.
Yeah,
We got
weird stuff. You just have to always remember that, because then something will come up and you'll be like, "Wait a minute, I had something like that."
yeah, dude. I don't know. At this shop, I've been seeing a lot of like surprisingly, it's kind of cool. Like a lot of crazy things. You know, how you say like you never had to pull out the scope or anything, right? You know, or like really dig.
Hey, Juan.
We had this Hemi, man. We were chasing a misfire, like hard as fuck misfire at idle.
Okay.
And like, so first I get it right.
All
I'm
the
like,
time?
all the time at idle. But so say the truck idled about 700 RPMs, right? And I mean,
Right.
the thing's fucking like, you feel like you're like, bad. I was like, it must be like a coil or something, like a coil spark. That's what I'm thinking. But I start power braking and I was like, it goes away. You give it 50 RPMs, right? You're at 700, you go 750 RPMs, misfire goes away.
Oh
Like,
my God.
you don't feel it. I'm like, what the hell? So I did real quick. I swapped the coil, swapped the plugs, cylinder 6 misfire. Okay, do a compression tester. Still checks okay. Check the injector. Injector's firing, opening, everything. I'm like, crap, I don't know. I gave it to Mark and Ryan. I was like, here, y'all put the scope on it. They start doing pressure.
Who's Ryan?
Ryan's he's our transmission builder, but he's also he's the one that owns the Pico and the shop.
Okay, so he's a diag tech then.
Yeah, diag and transmission.
Is he a master
builder.
tech also, like Mark?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's actually going for his L1 Monday. So
nice. Tell him I said
good luck.
luck.
I only see him. He only works Tuesday through Thursdays because he's
okay.
mainly like trans and diags. But
all right, well, don't tell him then because you won't see him.
And so they're messing with it, man. They're trying to figure out like why is this thing misfiring? Checking for vacuum leaks and everything. And dude, we're like stumped. We're like, I don't know. We're talking to Kyle. We're talking to Eric. We're talking to Don. Like we're talking to all these other guys, and finally we somehow we end up. The boss ends up calling the people of the motor, and they send us to some engineer or whatever. And he's like, send me your waveforms and everything. So we had to send him all the waveforms and stuff like that. And he goes, so check the intake gaskets. We're like, what? We smoke tested this, we checked for vacuum leaks. Sure enough, intake gasket. The intake gasket on cylinder 6 was kind of swollen. And I guess it was sucking in air. It was causing the misfire. How? I don't know. It was weird. We changed the gasket and.
What were your fuel trims at idle?
That was the thing, that everything like it's like we couldn't find. Fuel trims were fine, basically zero. I mean, long term, short term are pretty good. That's the thing. It was like we can't. It wasn't showing that it was lean or rich, or it was just. It was a weird one. So I was like, huh. Intake
I'll tell you
gasket.
what.
Oh, it was the intake gasket that was actually part of the PCV system. The intake. So on those Hemi manifolds, right?
Yeah, I know.
You have that little.
Yeah, because I
That
forgot to put
little.
those gaskets one time.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I
that one's
remember.
like
I know.
a.
Yeah,
So that was the one that was bad. So I guess it was
there's
the
a gasket on
PCV.
both sides that's weird like that. One is for the
Yeah.
oil fill, and the other one's for the PCV. Yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot those one time, and then I filled it full of oil, and it dumped oil everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So that one was. It was pretty crazy. So that was good. So if you ever have a misfire and you can't seem to narrow it down, check the intake gasket.
I learned a long time ago if I have a misfire, so I'll tell you a tool that would have found it.
Speed soak
Speed smoke machine would have found it. You know why? Because it puts out
pressure.
so much damn smoke. Man, I've used a couple different smoke machines, and I've used the Smoke Pro for a long time. But I'll tell you what, I have never seen as much smoke as this thing puts out. It is crazy, dude. It is nuts, man. It puts out. You know what? I was always taught to test turbo systems at 15 pounds. You got to test a turbo system at 15 pounds. And then you can spray water. You can spray, look for bubbles, right? If you don't have
Whatever.
a smoke machine, you can spray water on all the connections and look for bubbles, right? The speed smoke machine, every diesel I've tested at 4 pounds.
4 pounds? Not even
4.
like
That's it. 4 pounds. Because it puts
that's
out so much smoke. At 4 pounds, I've never went over 4 pounds testing a diesel. And it
I
shows. It shows up.
I really want to try
We
that
had a
cylinder
Volkswagen.
leak down.
What?
No, go for it.
Oh, we had a Volkswagen last week. I think it was on Friday. My coworker was doing he had a Volkswagen with a 299 code, and he found that the diverter valve on the turbo was leaking oil through it, but he wanted to make sure that there wasn't a leak in the charge air system because he had heard that there was problems with the intercooler leaking and stuff like that. And so I pulled it over there. Or actually, he brought the car over and we hooked it up and we tested it. And sure enough, it was actually leaking boost through the diverter valve. And I was able to pick it up on I think I did an Instagram story, but I was able to pick it up and you could see the smoke coming out of the diverter valve. So yeah, it's just nice,
Yeah.
man. I did I had a Crown Vic a couple days ago with lean codes at idle, and smoke tested it, and it was just pouring out of the back of the intake manifold. So it's just nice to have a tool
A
that
good amount of
produces so much
Actually,
smoke.
I'm pretty sure convinced my boss to buy one. He says next year. He told me he's like coming soon. But I've been having him spend some money. I've been making him buy some stuff. I was like, I need this, I need this, I need this.
Did you guys
I
get
added a
that
bar.
fuel system job on that diesel, or did it go somewhere
We're
else?
we're still waiting on it, man. We're still waiting on approval. He's
Are you
trying to
still
do an
waiting?
insurance. He's trying to do an insurance claim on it, but
Oh, people do that on insurance all the time.
yeah. So I don't know what we're waiting for, but I mean, I think it was like 13 grand total parts and labor.
Wow.
I think
Well,
the
yeah,
parts
it's a
alone were
big
like
job.
it was like 8,900. So basically 9 grand.
Uh-oh.
You're in the show.
8,900?
Chrysler Tech, what's your name? I've been talking to him. I feel bad. I don't know his name.
$8,900? Wait, you said
Parts and
parts were
labor.
$8,900?
Oh yeah, parts. Yeah, 8,900.
How? I thought the
the
kit
fuel
alone
kit,
was 10 grand.
the fuel kit, the high pressure fuel kit is like 6 grand. It's like 6,200, and then
Oh, okay.
and then you have your low side system, and then your fuel filters. I don't know. It was pretty expensive, man. Scott.
Yeah.
I know Scott.
It's a
So
lot of
all right,
work.
so Scott's debating Honda or Toyota. I told him Hondas would be
Oh
easier than
wow!
Toyota, but
Wait, Honda or Toyota?
yeah. What would you choose? I think I
I would rather
choose
work on Toyotas than Hondas.
really. And
Yeah, but
Toyotas, you
I
got
mean,
high.
it just depends on what you like. I mean, my advice would be to go and talk to the service manager, whoever it is that you're going to talk to, and see where you get a better vibe. I mean, a Honda and a Toyota, it's a car. I mean,
Yeah.
I can tell you right now that you're not going to get a manufacturer and be like, yes, I love working on this manufacturer. I can't come to work, wait to work tomorrow. Nope. It's going to be a job and it's going to be a pain in the ass. If you work at Honda or Toyota or Chrysler, or it doesn't matter. It's jobs you make. This sucks. Um, I would look at where you're going to get the best benefits, the best money, the best chance for, I don't know what your level of technician is. Maybe fill us in on your level of technician.
Shit.
Oh,
The
he
thing about
decided Toyota, so it doesn't matter.
he's a heavy line guy for sure, and he worked on diesels. But I didn't even think about it because now that you're saying that, fucking heavy line working at Kia or Hyundai, doing short blocks and long blocks all day,
All day long.
all day
That four
long, man.
cylinder, what is that, the 2.4? All day
I
long,
think
replacing that
yeah,
engine.
super. Yep, either doing a short block or long block.
Every time we get one of those, piece of crap. It's a
Yeah,
motor.
I think it's always the spun rod bearing. Yeah, I've done a short
I had
block.
one that came in as a check engine light, and the check engine light was the knock sensor. It was a knock sensor code
Oh yeah,
knocking because it needed an engine.
it puts it
I'd
in
never seen that before.
it puts it in limp mode,
But
so
I've
you
never
can't.
seen it. No, I didn't have a misfire or anything. It literally was only a knock sensor code. That was it. And it was low on oil. That was the other thing. But it was just funny because I'd never seen a knock sensor, and the knock sensor saying basically you need a motor. Like
Yeah,
it needed an engine. It had an engine noise. It had an engine noise, and it had a knock sensor code, but it didn't have a misfire code and anything else.
nothing.
It just had an engine
You
noise and a
and
knock sensor code.
out of all the ones I've seen, the ones that are knocking, I've never seen a misfire. Like it doesn't run like crap. What happens is
Yeah, same here.
the knock sensor puts the car in limp mode and won't let you go over 30 miles. If you delete the
Oh,
code,
I see.
you can drive it. Like you can drive normally until the
Oh no,
car like
the one
whoa.
up it it wasn't in limp mode. The one I'm talking
No.
about wasn't in limp mode. She brought it in. It was like, hey, my check engine light's on, and yeah, I didn't have any other symptoms, but
Hey, you need a motor.
yeah, just mine was different.
The check engine
What?
lights on.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
If we're talking cars, I'm going Toyota over Honda any day. Made in Texas, real nice.
I would rather work. Toyotas are my favorite car. I
Same.
mean, I love Toyota. If Toyota made a heavy diesel, I'd be all over it. But all right, let me read this here. I do heavy line, but I'm super beginner. Ag diag. What does ag diag mean? What does the ag mean?
I think it means at diag. Like
Oh,
it's a
beginner at
G by
diag. Okay.
accident. Yeah.
And electrical, just to be honest. But I'm good with mechanical stuff. All right. Well,
Hey
you know
man,
what?
I'm just a parts
The best way
changer.
to learn is just to do it.
Yeah. I'm
Go
waiting
and
for
read
my.
books, watch
Did I tell you?
videos. What?
Did I tell you I got my ASC certification?
Yeah, that day I text you, I think.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, apparently I didn't have the
Yeah,
work
you passed.
experience.
Oh, you texted me a picture. You texted me a picture of your results.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. Well, I didn't have experience apparently, so I had to fill out
Oh, you don't
my
have the experience.
yeah apparently. So I had to fill out the work experience form. But it's weird because like a couple years ago I had filled out because I was like I'm gonna take some ASC, so I was like I better put my employer information and everything so that I have my
Right.
experience. And I guess that wasn't what I was supposed to do, but it got approved, so now I'm waiting on my certificate. That's why I changed my bio to
Yay!
certified parts changer
That's
with the
awesome,
parts
dude.
cannon.
You're on the way, man. You're on the way. You're almost caught up to me.
Yeah, I'm taking my A8 next, and then my O1,
You're
and
going
that's all I'm
straight to
taking.
A8?
A8,
Why?
yeah. I don't
Why are
need.
you going and taking all the? Why are you going straight to A8?
That's the good stuff.
I know, but why? Who cares? Why?
Well,
Go
I
take
did
engines.
electrical, so now I'll do engine performance, and then I'll do advanced engine performance, and I'll be done. That's all I need.
Oh, you just want those three? Why? Why just those three? Do ASCs not matter in Texas?
No, no,
Do you get more
but this
money at your
shop,
job if you get ASCs?
yes.
Your
So
employer
I'm
will pay
gonna
you
I'm
more
I'm
for
gonna take
ASCs?
them all, but those are gonna be the first three I take.
Really?
Yeah,
A6, A8, and
I,
L1's hard. I'm gonna tell you right now, L1's hard.
I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna fail the brakes. I'm gonna fail the steering and suspension. So I'm not even gonna take those for a while.
Well, steering
I
and
might do.
suspension's hard. Steering and
Yeah, I tried
suspension's
taking
hard
it.
because there's so much. You have in steering, you have power steering pumps, you have gearboxes, right?
Hydro
And
boost.
and when you take your original test, it's a little bit different because now there's so much more stuff than when I took it. But you have gearboxes, right? And there's different kinds of gearboxes, and how many balls are in the gearbox that rotate around, right? And
Yeah, I
then
was
you
like,
have
I
power
don't know
steering
that.
pumps. There's three different kinds of power steering pumps. Well, in the test that I took, you had to know about all the three different kinds because there was always a question about one of them, right? And so, and then you have rack and pinion,
Yep.
and then you
Steering
have,
rings.
and so that's just power steering. Then
Yeah,
you
but they
have
ask like,
suspension, McPherson strut, and you have all
see,
these different kinds of suspension systems that they expect you to know. Like if they say we have a modified McPherson strut assembly system, and we have this, you have to be able to picture in your head what a modified
well,
McPherson strut assembly is. I
well,
don't know. I don't care.
McPherson struts
I'm
with the
just saying
spring, the coil
you
spring.
just have to know all the
Uh,
different things that
for sure.
without looking at it. They're not
Well,
showing you a
you
picture of it so you can go, okay, that's the system I'm working with.
gotcha. On the A6 they
And
were
then
asking like scope questions.
yeah, oh yeah.
I was getting some scope
That's
questions. I
good
was
though.
like,
Congratulations, man. That's awesome.
huh, I barely passed.
And then now you can go. So once you get a few more, then you can go, you can get that app. And I mean, you don't have to do it for 5 years, but in 5 years, you better get the app and pay I think it's like $48. In 5 years, it'll be more than $48, but still, you take that, and then every year you get 8 questions right in 12 months, and your ASE is extended 1 year, and you don't ever have to go take your original ASE again. Like you don't have to go to a
But how
testing
does that
center.
work? How does it work? Like, how does it know
How does
like
it
you're
work?
not
What do you mean?
cheating? Like, say like you look up the question for the answer. You know what I mean? Like, how does
You
that
can
work?
look up the question. It doesn't know, but it's
Really?
really fast. Like you don't get a lot of time. Like if it's
Oh
if it's
yeah,
a
like
question without a wire, if it's a question without a wire diagram, you got like 2 minutes. Like you don't have time to look it up. I
you
mean,
know.
maybe
eh,
I've never sat at a computer and done it. I've been with a coworker. I used to work with a guy. Well, actually, I still work with him now, but I would do a lot of the transmission questions with him because he was like a transmission guy. I mean, he was a yeah.
I'm trying-
But man, a lot of the questions are hard, man. They ask nowadays. I'm starting to see questions about. They are asking questions about crap I've never seen. I actually just had the other day a question in. I don't remember if it was in steering and suspension or what, but it was about ADOS calibration. I was like, really? Like, are you for
it's
real?
like
Which
it's getting
sensor needs to be calibrated? The overview, the blind spot sensor, the man, I don't freaking know. It was the blind
that's what
spot
I'm
sensor, but it was just
They're
it's
getting with
just
the
crazy. Like,
times, man. You know what I mean?
well, they are like in
That's what I'm
breaks.
saying.
In breaks, a lot of the questions in breaks that I've come across have been about electric parking brakes, or traction control, or electrical problems in brakes. And then I'm starting to see in HVAC, starting to see a lot of questions. You still there?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just focused.
Okay. In HVAC, starting to see a lot of questions about stuff that I've never dealt with, about super advanced climate control and HVAC systems that I've never seen before and I've never even heard of. And you're starting to see now, you're starting to see super advanced questions about audio and video systems that I've never seen and never heard of. And I'm
Yeah,
looking at it going, what the hell is this? I don't even know what this is. I've never even heard of this. It pisses me off because it's like you see some of this stuff and you're like, okay, so now you're gearing this towards dealership guys, because if you're bringing out questions about stuff, right, that's only in cars that are
brand
2
new.
or 3 years old, how the hell am I supposed to see it or even know about it?
Yeah.
I don't even know what it is. You could say it out loud and I don't even know. It's like you just said something in Spanish and I have no idea what the hell you said. Like, that's how I look at some of these questions that I'm getting now. The good thing about the app, though, is that you get a second chance. So, like, if you really get 24 chances to get 8 right, because every time you get one wrong, you get a second chance in a week. In 1 week, you get a second chance.
Okay.
And a lot of times, your second chance question has something to do with the first question you were asked. So, like the one you got wrong, they take the same question, kind of like the same,
and re-advise
system,
it,
and they spin it to a different thing. But a lot of them are very, very similar. Your second chance is very, very similar, and in some cases, it's exactly the same question, but not usually. So I have A1 through A9, and I take all those on my app.
you have your L1
and then
too,
the only
right?
one I have to go. What?
You have your L1 too, right?
Yeah, and then the only ones I have to actually go into a testing center is L1, L2, and X1.
What's X1?
Exhaust. You have to have brakes and suspension before you can take exhaust.
Really?
And then that gives you a certificate from the wall and a little patch that says undercar specialist. If you're seeking that, a long time ago, I thought it was really cool. Like, I didn't buy any ASC patches early on because I had all of them except for transmissions. And I tried to take transmissions and I bombed it like really bad. Like, it was almost like I didn't even show up. And I was like, man, I'm not taking that stupid test. Forget that. I waited forever to get it. And I was like, because I wanted to buy my ASC patches. I was super excited, because I haven't been doing it a long, long time, right? And I was like, I'm ready to get my patches, man. I'm excited.
Need something new in your life.
Yeah, I mean, it was just exciting. It's like it's an achievement. I mean, you work your butt off, and you got this thing on your arm that says that you know something. And so, anyways, so I was super excited. But
do you know something?
So finally, I was like, "What?"
No, I'm just joking.
Oh, so finally I was like, I'm just going to buy the ASC patches. And I just had those on there for a long time. And then I went to my new shop and for like, I don't know, for like a couple of years, we always had somebody that had transmissions. And for ASCs, they have a Blue Seal of Excellence award that you can have, a certification that a shop can have. And that certification means that in that shop, there is someone that has A1 through A8. So, and then all of a sudden we were missing someone that had transmissions, automatics. And they came to me and they were like, hey, you're the foreman. And you signed a paper saying that, that you need to be a master tech, and you're missing automatic transmission. So we need you to take it and pass it. And I was like, oh crap,
Was this the new
man, for
job?
real? No. This was the shop where I was the foreman at before, and so
Oh,
I
okay.
I took it and I failed it. And I remember going to lunch with a guy who like was been doing it for a long time, and I was asking him questions about some of the things that I remembered, and then the next time I passed it, but so yeah, fun stuff.
Scott.
But now it doesn't even matter. I mean, I'll keep my ASCs up, but
Yeah, it's just paperweight.
does not mean anything. I have come
No.
across so many master techs that get hired on as master techs. They have their master tech patch. They have their big giant master tech toolbox, and they can't fix shit, and they suck.
I hear that all the time. All the time.
Oh man,
I've only,
so much.
I've, I've only had one guy that was like certified. He wasn't a match tech, but he had like a couple certifications, and he was like not good at all. But I've never seen. It's kind of weird though. Like at my shop right now, like I don't think I have a lot of tools, right? Then I get to my this shop here is just like I don't have tools at all. Like damn, yeah, I don't know, man. I like this guy. I mean, I like them all. There's this guy Alex, right? And I swear this motherfucker just loves working harder. Like loves working harder, man. I don't understand him. The squatter.
Wait, he doesn't have a lot of
The
tools?
squatter. No, like he just doing a brake job. He's gonna do it squatting. Like, bro, why?
Oh.
Like, why? Like,
I know. I see people and they're doing brakes like way up here. Like they have the car
Like-
hella high and they're doing brakes way up here. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like for real?
yeah, or like, what was he doing the other day? Oh, yeah, I think he had a Toyota Sienna. And I was looking at it because I did a Camry not too long ago where I pulled the cowl and everything for the intake manifold. And if you got small arms, and maybe you can get in there and pull the 10 millimeters off. And I was like, it takes like 3 minutes to pull the cowl off. Like, it's not that
Right.
hard. Just
Yeah, totally.
zip it up. You just zip it off, and then boom, you have all this room, right? He gets his Toyota Sienna, same thing. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, there's no way this guy is doing this fucking.
Wait, what year
intake.
was it? I mean,
I think it was
what
like,
engine? Was it a 3.3?
I think 3.3 or a 3.5. I think it was a 3.3.
No way you can get you can't do a 3.5, but the 3.3 you can.
On a Sienna?
Not the 3.5. Well, there's no way a 3.5. Man, there's no way.
I don't remember. I'm looking at it. I'm like,
because you can barely even get the bolt out of the back for the intake manifold for the bracket.
yeah. So that's what I'm looking. That's what I'm
3.5.
concerned about. I'm looking at it and I look at my boss. I was like, this motherfucker says he can pull this intake off without pulling the cowl. I'm looking. I was like, I don't know.
He was taking the intake off.
Yeah, because he has got to do the
I
valve
thought you were
covers.
saying he was doing the plugs and coils without pulling the intake. Okay, sorry.
Oh no. Yeah, no. He's like,
Okay.
and I was like, maybe on the Camry. I was like, the Camry I could understand because there's actually a little room, but I was like, the Sienna, I don't know. He took all day for valve cover, like all day. I think I don't even think he finished the next day because, what did he do? I think he cleaned the fucking mass airflow with brake clean or something like that, and we had literally just told him like, don't use brake clean or throttle body cleaner, use mass airflow cleaner, and he goes and cleans the mass airflow with throttle body cleaner or something like that. But I don't know. He took forever, and I was like, dude, you like working hard. Like you could have just pulled the cowl in like 3 minutes, pulled the intake off, pulled the valve covers out, easier. They have all this space. Like I don't know. Like sometimes just cutting corners is not worth the hassle.
No.
Like it's faster just to do it right.
Yep. Yep, you're right, Frank. Can't fix a ham sandwich. Not all, but yeah. Oh wow, that one was a sticky one. What are you drinking beer and eating s'mores? Hang on, I need a beer. Hang on.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta wait. I'll wait till he gets back. How long you been doing this, Tony? 18 years? Going on 20?
Yeah, like 17 years, I think, about.
Have you ever had a truck fall off the lift?
Oh my God. You know, I hate even thinking about it. A very long time ago, the first shop I worked at, we had these weird lifts where when you would be lifting up a car, it was uneven, you'd have to go to the other side and pull the lever to equalize it, right? To even it out. Anyways, I lifted up this big ass Suburban. And I must not have had it equalized because I think what happened was it was kind of going up like this, right? And when it got to the top, the back arm had kind of, well, so I'm looking at it wrong. The back arm had kind of walked. And then all of a sudden, it starts going like this. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm like up by the front. And I go up and I grab the front bumper and I pull it down. And I'm like, help, help, help. And a couple guys came over, helped me, get it to the ground. What had happened was the back arm, because the lift wasn't completely level, it was walking like this. So the back arm walked until it walked off of the frame. The only thing that saved my ass was the muffler.
Caught the muffler.
Because it hit the muffler. Before, if there was no muffler there, it would have walked off the arm and it would have just completely dropped because there was nothing there. But because of the muffler, it slowed it and it gave me the chance to grab it and pull it down. So that's an experience that I had. Welcome back, Wes Maynado. But one time I was working at a shop for the first shop I worked flat rate. And so the shop was kind of shaped like a T, right? So the front building went like this, right? So you had this big ass building that goes this way, and then another building that goes this way, and they tee into each other, right? Well, and at one of them there's a roll up door, and anyways, so where the T is. It's a regular sized door that you would walk through like in a house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I worked in the back. So I'm working back here. And I'm driving backwards like this. And I'm coming back and I'm coming back and I'm coming back. And as I get to the door, see this truck.
Whoa. What's going on?
On the lift, right? And I'm like, run up there. There's fuel all over the floor. I mean, the truck is on its side. The lift arms through the window. The big front roll-up door is right there, like 6 feet from stuck in a lift arm, right? And the technician's like, oh no, and he's sitting there and he can't do anything and freaking out. Oh my God, dude! There's fuel. There's the trucks. It was a Ford Ranger, so he was doing radius arms, and we think what happened is, you know how lift arms have a bolt to keep you from pulling out the arm. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, yeah, so, like they can't come out so long, yeah.
And the arm comes out, right? Well, there's a bolt that stops it from going beyond the point of falling out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we think that he took the bolt out to get a little more room the truck, because he was doing radius arms on a Ranger, and so you know how hard that is. You know, you got to pull them out of the get the arm out. Well, it's hella hard. So he's got pry bars and pole jacks everywhere, and this guy was an idiot. He couldn't change a fan clutch in a BMW, right? And oh my God, the guy was a freaking moron. But anyways, yeah. So like, And
End up
the
doing
roll
this.
up door's right there. So I'm like, and I'm sitting there. My boss is freaking out. My boss would come out of his office and go, "Oh shit, oh shit!" Go back in his office. He couldn't do anything. He literally was like freaking out, right? And I'm the only one that's like, we got to get this truck on the ground. So I'm like, all right. So I got my phone in my arm like this. I'm over there where, I got the moron technician mopping up fuel, right? The one that can't do anything. I'm calling our service rider to be like, dude, get back to work because he's at lunch somewhere at home. He's not answering his phone. So I'm like, all right. So we go shut the roll up door up front so people don't walk by and see a truck, on the
Fucking
ground on the side, right? We're not going there. Oh, what's up, ETR Garage? What's up, brother? Haven't seen you in a long time. So anyways, so oh my God. So we're going to figure out how to get this damn truck off. And oh my God, it took forever. But no, I have never dropped anything off the lift, thank God. I'm very, very, very particular when I lift cars and trucks, especially trucks. I want everything to be level and
like
centered, and and it all depends on
lot
the job I'm doing too. If I have a big truck and I'm doing some heavy banging, I want that truck to be solid. Or I'll put a pole
secured, yeah,
jack under the
under the back
under the trailer
bed.
hitch. So what about you?
So when I first worked at Toyota, so like beginning of my career, I don't know how, but an arm popped out from underneath the
Not when
tundra.
you were doing
Honestly,
an oil change.
I think it was an oil change. I don't remember.
I'm just kidding. You said early on, so I figured you were probably doing an oil change.
And I was at the toolbox, right? And then I turn around. Next thing I know, I hear like a cling. I'm like, what the heck was that? I just see the tundra, and there was a guy next to me, right? He was like talking to me, whatever. And then he sees it, and he did what you did. He just jumps on the front bumper. He's like, lower the car, lower the car. I was like, oh crap! So I lower it, right? So that was the first time. Never happened again. They had to have like some people come out and look at the list because that's what happened. I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what happened. Like, it just shot out. And so that was the only time, right? And what was I doing? I was working on this Dodge, right? That turned in from a water pump to a timing cover to a no crank, no start, or crank, no start because of the sensor. Anyways, right? So I'm raising this car, and I guess at one point I'm raising up and down, but I always usually like make sure don't let it come all the way down because the car rose and it'll roll off the lift arms. And I guess
Yeah.
at one
Oh
point
yeah.
I lowered it too much and it shifted,
Oh shit.
and I didn't see it
Uh-huh.
right. So I'm raising it up. I have it on the lift. I have it locked right, and I'm underneath the car, and I'm getting this because we have a brake clean. It's like a big old jug, like a 5-gallon jug with the air spray gun that we use to
Yeah.
clean for brake clean. And I'm getting down, and I hear like a ping, and I'm like, "What the heck?" Because I'm underneath the truck, and I look up, and
Oh
I see
shit.
the truck like lifting back. I'm like, "Oh crap! Okay, well let me go." I lift up, and so my lift, it's old school. I don't have a lever. I don't have a lever and a fucking and then push the button down. You know what I mean? My
Right.
lift, you have to go to each side of the lift and pull out the
Oh, and
lock.
pull the lock.
Yeah, you got to pull. Like it has like a little cable tie that you pull, right? So I had to raise it up, run to the other side, pull the cable, and it's just dangling in the air, man. It's being held on like it. Luckily, the arm caught onto the sidekick, the step,
Oh my
and so
god.
it's holding on. So I run the other side, pull that one, pull the other one, and no one's there, right? Luckily, no one's at the shop, so I'm like, cool, no one sees this shit. I'm fucking lowered it, right? I'm lowered it. Tell me why my boss drives in from a test drive and he's just looking at me and he just shakes his head. He's like, not even Josie. And Josie's a loop tech who's always like fucking up and shit. He's like, not even Josie's dropped a car. And I was like, fuck. And yeah, so that happened very recently. It was like the week of Thanksgiving. So
Oh yeah, that was at your last shop, right?
no, that was like this shop.
Oh, you almost dropped it at this shop.
Yeah, like that's what I was saying. Like my
Oh
boss came over.
damn. Dang.
Yeah, so
Man.
it's crazy.
Don't you hate that
But
when you have like, we have that, where you get you'll get the, keep this in mind because this will happen in your career. You will get a run of comebacks. You will get a run of cars that just nothing goes right. You'll get a run of shit like that, where it just, I'm telling you, you'll get like a run of comebacks where you'll be like, man, and you start to question yourself, like, dude, do I
What am I
suck?
doing?
Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I've had a couple times, in my career, a long time, a long time, a lot of cars, a lot of, and more experience as I went along. But, I have had times where it's like, I'm not even joking. I've had times where I went into the office and I go, hey man, look, like, I don't know what the hell's going on, but like, I don't suck for real. Like, I don't know if it's some weird shit, but like, I really don't suck, So I
And
have
dude,
had those times.
well, it's been
Can't
happening
win. You're like,
to.
I don't even get it.
It's been like that since I moved to the shop, bro. I'm telling you. I tell my boss, like, he's like, What do you tell me the other day? He's like, I'm gonna go buy you a 6-pack of holy water, and uh,
That's
and
funny. That's what
uh,
you're getting for Christmas.
so something happened, right? I don't know what I was doing. It was like something stupid. And I was like, this has never happened to me before. I've never done this in my career. And I was like, and I looked and I was like, did you bring that holy water? He's like, I don't think holy water is gonna fix you, man. Like you need an exorcism. But like I don't know, like since I've been here, there's been like a lot of stuff that I've never had happen, like breaking a radiator. And I think it's because I said it. Like I've said it like I was like because they're talking about how Josie and Alex or whatever they break radiators and stuff. And I was like damn, I've actually never broken a radiator. And then there I go, I fucking do an alternator on a Armada. Didn't even do it from the top, I did it from the bottom. Started the car, and I guess somehow I broke the radiator overfill. Uh, like it's just a bunch of like the cap,
The
that
only
oil.
water, hang on, I gotta say this. The only holy water fixes some issues is beer. Hell yeah, right? Beer 30 is the only thing that fixes it. Going the hell home. Getting
Oh,
the hell out of there, man. I've had those days where you're just like, bro, I for real need to just punch out and go home. I know it's only like 10:15,
2 o'clock.
but I need to go
2:15.
home. It's going right.
Dude,
Oh man,
I
Diesel Dog, he
literally
works on that big stuff.
said that this week. I was like, man, I just want 1 week where I go and something doesn't fuck up. Like I've not had that here. Like every week it's been something. It was funny because the other day it's not funny, but um my boss had to go to the doctor. Like one day we could see him and like his face was just like twitching, right? Like he was like mad, but it was because like customers and stuff like that. And he goes and we were joking with him. It was the week I passed my ASC and we went out drinking and stuff. And I was like, here's to your high blood pressure, I was like, because like when I fuck up, I'm like, how's your blood pressure right now? Like, cause like he's talking about like pulling out his hair. I was like, you're gonna be bald, but by the end of the year, like, just not because of little things. But it's been a lot of rookie mistakes, man. That's been happening to me.
You know
Like,
what, man?
I
It's
don't
just
know.
it's always the curse of a new shop. When a new guy starts, when you start at a new shop, shit slows down, everything goes wrong. There's always something that happens in the transition of a new person starting. I can't tell you how many times we've had a new person start and you're like, oh, this is great. Because now it's crickets for like a week and a half because it's a new person. Because the new person starts and you're like, hey, bro, for real, we're really not this slow. It's just because you started. I'm just saying it.
We're letting you know.
You'll see it, or you'll start somewhere and everything goes to hell in a handbasket. Whatever. I mean, it's just just weird stuff of starting a new shop. And plus, man, look, you went to a shop where you actually have coworkers, you know.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so you know how I told you like it was like I'm fucking up. I'm not fucking up, but the charger's not going well. Mark's got this alternator, and then we got Alex taking all day and a half for fucking tune up and valve cover gases, right? And my boss goes, he's like, "Are y'all having a competition of like who can fuck up or who can take longer? Like what's going on?" Because he's like all day
That's
timing
funny.
belt. He's or then one guy, Ryan, the other guy, the transmission, he goes, he's like, "Damn, Davion, how many motors you putting in that thing?" Because I was like, it's supposed to be like in and out, and it's just one thing after another. And I was
Man.
like, but it's cool. It's
Man,
funny.
you know
I
what
like
though? When you were talking about those engine mounts, it's like so easy to look at something and like mislook at it. Like I have a Hemi right now, and I pulled a timing cover off on Friday because it was leaking coolant, and I pulled it off at the end of the day, which I was pretty stoked about because I was having a hard time getting motivated, and when I finally got to it, and I was having a hard time getting motivated, and I was able to get it off right before I went home. So I was like, "Hell yes, it's beer 30 now, boy! Woo! I won!" Because I got motivated and I was able to smash it at the end of the day, And anyways, and it was Friday, And so Monday morning, I get to work and I'm busy with stuff and things are going and I throw it in the parts washer and finally get to it. I pull it out and I'm looking at it and I'm like, holy crap, this thing's garbage. Like all the
it's
all the
pitted.
inner all the inner parts of the coolant, they're all eaten away, you know. And so okay, so I go tell them we need a timing cover and we order one and I was supposed to have it like Wednesday. And this morning I'm like, hey, I still don't have the timing cover for that Hemi. And he's like, what? It says it was delivered on Thursday. So we go looking around and I've got a ProMaster that I'm doing a big job on. Rack and pinion, all the whole park and brake system, all this stuff. And they gave me this big old giant box from Rock Auto, and they were like, this is park and brake cables for the ProMaster. So it was over there. And so we go look, and there's a box in there. Oh, it was actually the timing cover, not the park and brake cables. So we pull it out. I get all ready. I'm all stoked. I pull it out, and it's a Dodge one, right? It's got the valve cover. Not the valve cover. It's got the gasket already in it. The crank seals in it. I'm like, hell yeah, let's go, right? I got it ready. It's sitting on my toolbox. I got the silicone out. Drop the truck down. I'm like just doing a little last minute cleaning, a couple Instagram stories, right? I'm hella stoked. I'm like, all right, got my bolts ready. I'm like, you know what? I think I can smash this before lunch. Let's go. And I get ready. And I just happened to glance at the old one. And I went, wait a minute. This is the wrong timing cover. Total brakes on. Like, what the hell? Like, it's missing like a whole part of the top corner. I'm like, what the hell's
Shit.
going on here? And so I take a picture. Like, yeah, it was just missing. Like, it was the wrong timing cover. That's why. Like, it was the section that's because there's like, we looked it up and it was like 5.7 ... LM2, and then it was like a DM2, wrong numbers, but it was like one letter off. And so we go look it up, and he's like, I found this one on Amazon. Is this the right one? Look it up. Nope, that's the wrong one. And so I don't know what the hell they decided, but it's stuck on my truck rack, which pisses me off.
Dang. Actually, we had this.
Yeah, I have a truck rack, and I have one truck rack and one car rack.
Medium.
But it's tall. It's taller than the rest of the car racks in the shop.
Nice.
So
yeah, I'm trying to get my boss
racks.
to get a big one for the.
Yeah, I have a big one. I can lift a full size. I can lift a full size Super Duty all the way up. I can walk around underneath it and work like this. Yeah. I can lift the Sprinter all the way in the air. So.
I had that at the old shop, but this one, no. Yeah. It's funny because like when I first started, still probably like the third week, I had this Mercedes. I did the alternator on, and I pulled the old one off, and then they wanted the core right away, so I just gave them the core right. I looked at it and I was like, I was like, same bolt pattern, got the connector, everything looks the same. I was like, pulley. I just counted the grooves, right? Counted the grooves. Yep, same groove. I was like, here you go, give it to him. Right? Put it on, charging, running good. We put like 40 miles on the thing, right? Like it's running good. Customer takes it, right? Drives home. He's like, hey, my car turned off. I don't know what happened. The alternate belt popped. So we're like, what the heck? We're like, boss is like, we'll bring it back. We'll look at it. Put a belt on it or whatever. I put a belt on. I was like, huh, it's weird. I was like, maybe I didn't put it on right or something. Put it on running, driving fine. Everything's good. I parked it in the back because he couldn't pick it up. And they sold something else on it. So Mark actually was the one that had to do it. I think they did an oil change or something. I don't remember. It was something simple. So Mark ended up doing it. And he sees the belt and he pulls it off and he's like, hey, Davion, was the belt like this? And it was like all thin, like on one strand. And I was like, no. I was like, the belt was full, right? And so like ended
Oh
up,
no.
I was like, I don't know what the heck's going on. So I'm looking at the parts and reading, and I was like, okay, it says there's a 55 millimeter and a 56 millimeter. I was like, I guess give me the 56 millimeter. I'm trying it and like nothing. We ended up having to give an actual Mercedes alternator because it wasn't the grooves that was wrong. The pulley was out maybe like it was supposed to be like a eighth of an inch out further. It wasn't actually lining up.
Oh, so the belt
So
was
under,
riding wrong.
yeah. So I idle, it'd be fine, but as soon as you like, I guess floor it or something, it ended up
Right.
slipping off or start eating into the belt. But it sucks because it's like
Dang.
it's very like I mean I'm telling you like an eighth of an inch like depth difference. You know what I mean? Or I guess 55 versus 56 millimeter. But yeah, man. So
That's
it's
crazy,
attention to
dude.
detail.
Well, I mean, I don't know that I would have noticed that, just from you describing it, I don't think I would have noticed that. The, the world of the world of aftermarket parts, we go through that all the time at work, putting crappy aftermarket parts on cars and trucks, and then having problems with them right out the gate. Start them up.
That's funny. It's because
Problem.
ever since I got here, um, they use a lot of aftermarket at the shop, right? But ever since I got there, I've
Right.
been like, no, I want OEM. Like, give me the original shit. Like, I don't want to do this again. And technically, it's like it doesn't matter if I do it again because I'm getting paid regardless. But it's just to me, it's just see like it's pointless. Give me the original. Oh, bro, let me tell you. Okay, so I had to do uh, I had a Toyota 4Runner, right? Came in this week, and it was evap code, right? So I smoke tested whatever. And usually, what I do is like either close the vent valve by scan tool and I cap it, right? I'll close it if I can with the scan tool. If not, I pop off the vent hose and I'll cap it, so I can do the smoke test. And my boss was like, no, just clamp it with some vice grips. He's like, I've never had any problem. Just clamp the vent hose. It's not gonna leak. So I was like, okay. I was like this. I was like, because I've never done it. I was like this, and they clamped the vent hose, right? I was like, yeah, it should
Wait,
be
what were
good.
you doing? I'm sorry, I totally got sidetracked.
I was doing a smoke test for the evap leak on a
Okay,
4Runner,
okay.
and
On a Forerunner, all right.
he just told me to clamp with some vice grips the vent valve hose.
Ice
So
grips?
yeah, or like some pliers, but
Okay.
I use vice grips, so clamped it right, and smoke tested whatever, easy. I was like, was smoking out the gas cap, and then I was like, just sell him the gas cap and purge valve. And I was like, he's like, okay, and I was like, don't get me Dorman, I want Toyota. He's like, okay, right, and so he's like, here, check this car. He's like, we'll park it to the side, right. So I just lowered the car, right, shipped it, right, and I got another car and I'm doing the diag or whatever. Since I'm busy with that diag, they got the parts already. They sold it, whatever. Another tech does the job, whatever. Car leaves. Comes back 2 days later, and I'm busy on another car, and Mark gets the car, and the boss is like, "Hey, we just put a Toyota purge valve and gas cap on this." Like OEM. He's like, the customers complained that he tried to put gas, and he can't put gas.
I know what you did.
Right. So Mark's like, "All right, I'll check it out." Mark's scanning it and everything's like,
Did he give you your
He's like,
vice grips back?
he crawls under. He doesn't even raise up the car. He crawls underneath, and he sees the vice grips. He's like, "Who worked on this car?" And I was like, and I looked, and I was like, "I did the diag, but someone else did the repairs." And like, well, they left their vice grips on the fucking. And I was like, "Oh shit, that was me." So
Oh my
I
god,
was
that's
like,
funny.
but I mean, that was the first time I've ever done that. I always cap it, So I was like, well, I
Yeah.
didn't do the repairs, so that's probably why. Like, I didn't think anything of it. Like, just pulled the car out.
Oh
And
yeah, you would have
I
caught
even,
it if you did the repair, right?
and then I was like, I even told the guy, because they weren't even my vice grips. That was the worst part. They were Alex. And I was like, I was like, "Hey, bro, you didn't notice your vice grips were missing?" Like, but yeah, so it was just like a quick fix, and then bada bing.
At
But
your shop,
yeah,
do you guys get paid full labor for warranty, or do you get warranty time?
honestly, I don't know, because it's hourly
It's a good
plus
thing to look into.
commissions. So
Well, but I
I
mean,
always
the
like,
hourly plus commissions affects you if you do it at warranty time. So if you put it,
what,
here's what I asked, right? So let's say you recommend something, right? You get a car. Okay, I looked at the car, whatever. This is the amount of time, and I did the repair. And let's say the repair was 5 hours, right? And they got a crappy part, and it failed, didn't work, whatever, and you have to put another one in. And let's say warranty time is 3.9. Well, are you doing it at 3.9? Or are you doing it at your fault? It was a shitty part, whatever. It's something to look into. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter because if it's their policy, it's their policy, and you can't fight it. But just something to know, because
see, I've
hourly
been,
plus commission or bonus, it is directly affected by the hours that are being billed for a job. So always keep
and
in mind.
that's what I've been on my boss about lately. Like, I'm like, when he sells a job or something, I'm like, "How much do you charge?" Like, because I don't like the fact that, what I mean, like, I'm still in the mindset, like, I'm trying to do more than what I'm actually working. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be standing around and stuff like that. So like,
Well, yeah,
that's why I'm like, how much?
I don't understand.
I was like,
Yeah,
"How much
me
did you
either.
charge for this timing job?" And I don't know what car it was, but I think he charged like 8 hours. And I looked at him, I was like, this is like a 13, 14 hour job, right? He's like, "The book says this," and I was like, "No, no, 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 no. Let me show you." I was like, "This is why." I was like, "You gotta do this, you gotta do this, you gotta do this." The book doesn't tell you that, I was like, "But you gotta do this, this, and this." He was like, "Oh, okay." So I've been like trying like sometimes, but I don't know, because I told him to get Identifix, because we only have Pro Demand.
Oh, you don't have Identifix.
Mm-mm. So and I told him, I was like, a lot of times I've seen better labor time on Identifix than I have
Oh,
Pro
I've never
Demand.
looked up labor on Identifix. We have all data. We use all data and Mitchell.
All data is probably the worst time for labor.
I would say, I don't know.
I'm not even.
You know
I'm not.
what? I used to say that all data was better, but I've been learning to build my own revisions, especially for diesels, and I found that you go in like streaks of where Mitchell's better. Like, oh, for example, the intake manifold on the 4.2, all data was like 1.8, and Mitchell was like 3.4, and I was like, holy crap! But a lot of times, all data is better than Mitchell. You have to just you have to
Hmm.
you have to know that it's two different that it's two different platforms, right? And you either are going to trust one and go with it, or you have to check them both. So when I
And,
build my revisions, I always look in all data first because our program where we build the work orders pulls from Mitchell. So the only way to
automatically.
change it is to manually change it, right? So I look in all data first. I always go. Like today, I did all when I did the revision when I was looking up the intake manifold for the Trailblazer. I looked up all data, it was like 1.8. I went to Mitchell, it was 3.4. I was like, okay, cool. Because if it's more on all data, then I'll make sure I tell them, hey, on all data, it's this much. So because they don't want to get screwed either, you know.
Yeah.
But on diesels, a lot of diesels, I build my own revisions. Or with a certain service writer, I build my own revisions, and I'm learning to do that, where I'm doing all my own labor and parts and building everything, where they just go
Yeah.
click and sell it from everything I did.
And
So I'm learning to do that because I've been finding that, you know, there's certain times where, you know, you get a lot of incorrect labor times and a lot of the parts are wrong. And in the end, we're losing money because we sold all these parts and they all suck and they're wrong and they're cheap. And now we have to go buy expensive, you know, or I mean, not expensive, but, you know, a lot more
the good
money
stuff. Yeah.
than the parts that we sold. Uh, um, so
Well,
yeah, so I've always been looking up all data first, and then I go to Mitchell and look.
it does
So
vary because I know like an oil pan for 6.7, right? 14 hours, like all day. I'm not charging less than 14 hours for oil pan, upper oil pan on a 6.7. But I think if I'm not mistaken, I think it was one of
book
the
time is not 14 hours.
huh
Book time is not 14 hours though.
for the upper oil pan.
Is it 14 hours for upper oil band?
Yeah,
I can't remember. I haven't done one in a minute.
but I remember seeing one and it said like 10 hours, and I was just like,
Yeah,
no. I was like, the transmission pays like 4. You know what I mean? I was
right.
like, but I usually do the rear main seal too, the rear main upper oil pan and everything. But on those, man, you gotta let them sit overnight, man. You gotta let it
You
drip
let
and get
that
all that
oil
oil.
run out.
Yeah, you gotta
But
let
I
it, like
saw
you
a
have
trick.
to.
I saw a trick recently on TikTok. The Ford guys have learned how to do it without taking the tranny out.
Really?
Yeah, you lift up the engine uh, around 4 inches, right? About the same amount that you would to do the upper oil pan. All right, and you've got blocks on both sides. It's around 4 inches. I'll try to find the TikTok and I'll send it to you if I find it. But then you lift up the transmission mount 4 inches also.
So it just raises it all up.
It raises the entire
Powertrain.
drivetrain up, right? Powertrain up. And guys aren't pulling the tranny anymore. They're taking the oil pan out with the tranny in.
And where are you lifting up from the crank on the engine side?
You lift it from the crank and the tranny if you're going to do it that way. So you could either go crank and pull and tranny, right? And go up at the same time. Just go up, 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 which actually is easier because I find that when you're trying to jack up the engine to get the 4-inch blocks, you know, in between the oil pan and the frame, it's kind of tricky. And it doesn't always want to go. I haven't done a ton of upper oil pans, so it's not like I'm a pro at it. You know, where some of these guys, you know, they're doing it all the time. But I know I've done some where it's like you're lifting it up and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can go anymore. Like I'm kind of scared. Like, and you're holding on to the crank, right? You're like trying to pull the pole jack, and the pole jack's hell hard to turn, and you're like trying to keep the pole jack from spinning off the
Slipping
crank,
out.
you know, off the balancer, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. So anyways, the next time I do one, I'm going to try to do it that way. And I'm going to do a video on it and see. I'm going to try it and see how it works.
I
But
think the long part that for me is like the cleaning, because like
the
I
cleaning
think
is horrendous.
the last one I did, I had it all apart in less than 2 hours. Transmission out, oil pan off, and everything. You know,
Damn.
it was like 2 hours.
Diesel Tech Dazeni.
And but it was the cleaning, and honestly, that's because 2 of the bolts were stripped. I couldn't freaking get them off. I ended up using an air
Oh yeah, I
hammer.
remember that.
Ended up using an air hammer to pop one of the 10 millimeters off, just because I couldn't get it off. And man, I think about that, man. Imagine like getting a stripped 10 millimeter like right where the cradle is.
Yeah.
like trying to get that off, or if a
I had a
bolt
bolt break
breaks.
right in the middle. I had a bolt break right in the
No,
middle, but it was on the driver's side and right in the center of the frame. There's a
with a
hole.
hole, the hole.
There's one
Nice.
hole where you can get like 3 bolts, you know, where you're like the one
Yeah.
straight up and then the 2 this way, right? And you can get them with you know with wobble sockets. Well, the one straight up broke off, was stripped or broke. It was broken in the block
You know
when I
which
was
one's
doing
actually
it.
I've actually had break on me like numerous times is the lower pan bolts.
Oh wow!
It's
So
even
if you go to
torquing them.
Ford, you buy a new upper oil pan. They don't clean the upper oil pan.
Oh, like you get a whole new pan.
But it's a kit. It's a kit. You get an upper oil pan and all the gaskets and everything that go along with it.
See, that's
But they
even
don't.
better. That's faster.
I had somebody that went. I had somebody that watched my video, and they were asking me because they went to Ford and Ford told them how much it was uh, and I asked them. I said, hey, when you get your invoice or whatever, will you let me know what it says because I'm curious to what the dealer does versus the aftermarket world. And sure enough, I broke up, man. So
You still
they
on the
don't
whole
even
pan.
clean them.
Well, now if I ever do it, I'm gonna tell them like timing cover an upper oil pan or not at
Yeah, me
all.
too.
Either both or not, because I mean, the
Because
last one I did, it was leaking at the timing cover, and I thought it was the upper oil pan, and I was just like,
oh no, what happens is what I find happens, and this is what happened on the last one. So I had where the upper oil pan was leaking all the way around, right? Where it couldn't have been the timing cover. It wasn't like it was the timing cover and it leaked down and then it ran back and it looked like it was the upper oil pan. It wasn't like that. The whole upper oil pan was leaking. I mean, covered in oil. An upper oil pan because it's covered in oil. Like you can't do anything beyond that, right? And then when it came back, I noticed it was starting to leak at the time
the timing
I ran with
cover
the
on
customer
the
because I think I saw it on the driver's side at the T where the
yeah
timing
the
cover
driver's
meets the
side,
oil pan.
and it's a
Yeah,
small little
and it
hole
took
that
me
like
forever because it's like you can't see shit, and I'm like looking with the mirror, like it. Anyways, and we didn't do a timing cover on it. We were gonna wait, you know, if he came back with a leak, we were gonna take care of it. It wasn't, you know, leaking like dripping on the ground, but you saw it and you were like, oh shit, okay, well that sucks. But I had one today. I had a guy with a 6.7. It was this afternoon. I was filming the Trailblazer. I was like, I was in a groove, and my service tried to come. All right, I got a 6.7 F350. Guy's been to Les Schwab 3 times. He got death wobble, and he's mad, and he just wants us to fix it right. All right, so I jump in the truck, go drive it. Just driving like shit, right? I'm like, just the front end's awful. I'm like, what the hell's going on? This is retarded. Like, I'm not even going fast. I get back and the pitman arm at the tie rod end, at the pitman arm is so bad. Like it's like dunk, 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 dunk. And then that's all I can find, right? I'm like, what the hell? I jacked it up, checked the ball joints, they're all tight. Like the front end's all tight, except for this one, you know. So I go to my coworker, I'm like, hey man, you know, I feel like I'm looking at a wall and I don't want to miss anything. Can you just look and see if you see anything? Oh yeah, like the track bar bushing is all brand new because the track bar ball joint is what causes the death wobble on those things. And so he's laying under there and he goes, oh man, come look at the ball joint for the track bar. And I was like, what? Really? I looked at it. It was brand new. Maybe because it was brand new, I didn't look at it close enough. But when I looked at it closely, you could see the ball joint moving. It had play in the ball joint. So I was like, all right. But before that, though, I lay under the truck to check the front end, and there's a big ass puddle of fuel under the truck. It's like dripping. Like, I'm like, what the hell? Like, how the hell is somebody looking at this truck and like there's a big fat fuel leak?
you're not saying.
And not saying anything. And so whatever. So it's the fuel pressure sensor on the low side supply line. And so I write it all up, I make a revision, turn it in, and the service writer comes out and he goes, hey man, the guy said, oh, I know, and it had all the cab mounts and body mounts. All of them were all bad. A lot of them were missing. Most of this thing has not even 100,000 miles. It has like
Freaking
96,000 miles. And the bed mounts are about to pop. the cab mounts are, missing parts of them. And so I told him, I said, look, I said, I have to take care of the couple things that I saw on the front end before I can address anything else. I can't promise anything. We don't make promises. If you want to promise, kick rocks. We're not going to have you later going, but you said, and now I want this for free. Um, and so he comes to me at the end of the day. He goes, all right, the guy wants to spend money, but he said, only if we guarantee it's going to fix it. I said, well, then you tell him to go somewhere else. I can guarantee that I have to fix these two things first, and then I can guarantee that after that, we'll have to see. But beyond that, kick rocks. And Charlie, who's our service manager, he's going to say the same thing. If he wants a guarantee, goodbye. See you later, alligator. So
I was gonna tell you because
we don't do that kind of crap.
Usually the mounts are missing, right? Like on the Ford, I was gonna say, they're color coded. So if you ever do them, let me know. I have a sheet because I've done them several times, and I'm like, what part number is this? Where is this supposed to be? You know, like where's this one? Because
on the 6.7s,
on the 6.7s, because they're usually missing and they're not color coded. They're all black, so you can't tell what color is supposed to be.
Oh, you've done mounts on the 6.7 too?
Yeah, 6.4s, 6.7s. Like I've done them like 5
I didn't know
times.
you did a 6.7s.
Yeah, that's why I said 8 hours. Like,
okay.
4
I knew
hours
you
per
did
side.
6.4. I didn't know about the 6.7.
I meant because they're the same from 2011 up, or as far as that I know of, that body style, like where
right.
6.4s and the 6.7s, they're the same thing, and you have to do them by hand. If not, if you try using an impact, you will be pulling the interior out.
Oh yeah, no, I know. It sucks.
But so after like the second time, I was like, you know what? Because I did it the first time, and I took forever trying to figure out which mounts went where. And I did the second one, did the same thing. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna write down the colors because the color code I think is like blue, black, and then it's like a rubber one, and then it's like green, something like that. But I wrote it down. So
oh yeah,
if you ever do
the rubber one is the one at the back of the cab.
It's like the third mount. It's the third mount because you have like the foam.
The one at the back of the cab is the rubber mount, and then there's one mount that's right at the front of the bed that's just like the cab mounts. Like it's a similar type of mount, but the one at the rear of the cab is all rubber, and that's the one that has the big fat split in it. It looks like it popped.
Yeah, so I wrote down the color code. I'll send you a picture tomorrow. But if you ever need it, so because it's, and then I always put anti-seize too, like on the, because they're a pain to pop out, man. Like if they're rusted, like you can get the bolts off. Getting the bolts off is easy, but it's separating the actual mount apart from the body that's a pain in the ass. Like there's one where I'm like, I think there was actually the last one I did, I spent like almost an hour and a half trying to pop the mount out.
Oh
like
my
freaking
God.
air hammer and prying, and like it was headache. 8 hours minimum.
That sucks.
But
man, I gotta hit the head real quick. I'll be right back. Okay. I never saw. I think his name is John. It's been a long time since I talked to him. West Main Auto. He used to be on YouTube quite a bit. He was a mechanic, and then he did like a mobile thing for a while, and then he went and became a police officer. And then I guess he got hurt. But I've been on some live streams with him before. I've talked to him. I've actually talked to him quite a few times.
His name is John.
But I don't know. I think it's John. But anyways, like I said, it's been a while. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second.
Go for it. All right, how many people we got in the chat right now? Let's look. 4. All right, the 4 watching, I want to hear about some mess ups. No mess ups, anyone? let's see, I think like three. It was actually my first GM engine. I was doing a Cadillac engine, 6.2 engine on a Cadillac Escalade, and it came filled with oil, or it had oil in it, or whatever. And I put it in. I checked the dipstick. I was like, oh, it's marking full, and I didn't snap. I was just like, yeah, it's marking full, cool. Turn it on. I'm running it, and I never thought about like it, like priming the system essentially. So it's running. I'm letting it run, waiting for the thermostat to open, make sure everything's good. And honestly, it's been like 4 minutes running. Like, cause I remember looking at the time. It's like, okay, and I'm like putting some tools up, and then I hear slight tapping. I'm like, it's like, I'm like, what the hell? And I go and I listen closely, and I'm like, crap, this engine's tapping. Let me turn it off. I turn it off, and I still didn't think like to check the oil. I'm like, crap, this thing's got a bad motor. And I told the boss, he's like, did you put oil in it? I was like, it already came with the oil. He's like, oh, did you check it? And I was like, I checked it before I started. And he's like, did you check it afterwards? I was like, shit, no. Went and checked the dipstick. Yeah, dipstick's not marking. So I added like 2.5 more quarts before it started being safe. And I actually did the oil changes on that Cadillac a lot at the old shop. And it was good still, but yeah, that was a mistake. Rookie mistake, but that was a long time ago. Did you drop the camera
I am gonna
or
have a
something?
cigar.
Oh,
What?
nice. I thought you dropped the camera or something. Oh, you swapped it to smoke outside the garage.
Yep, exactly. Cheers, man.
Cheers. That
Yeah, his name is
Scott.
John. I texted him. I still had his number in my phone. I was like, oh, look at that. John, West Main Auto.
Actually, I gotta hit the head, so give me a quick second.
So Chrysler technician, did you start at Toyota yet? Or how's that going? You did start at Toyota. When? How long? So what did you start as at Toyota? And how big of a dealership is it? Oh, okay, you haven't started yet. You started on the 26th. Oh, wow, the day after Christmas? Wait, the 26th. Oh, yeah, it's a Monday. Yeah, because I took that day off. I took off the day. We don't have anything off for Christmas and New Year's because it's on a Sunday. And so I took the Monday off both days. So I took the 26th off and the 2nd. My youngest son's birthday is the 1st. So I took that off so I could have it off the day after his birthday. But all right, starting at as just a regular flat rate tech. It's brand new dealer. It's huge. Oh my God, AC and heat. Holy crap! 21 techs, 5 lube techs. Holy moly, that's awesome. 21 techs. How many? Only thing I don't like is it has built-in snap-on toolboxes. So I only what the heck? It has its own toolboxes? Wow. That would suck. That would be hard. To bring all my tools to work and not in a toolbox, that would be very difficult. So,
Dazeni, I bet.
Dazeni, check this out. So
Okay,
Chrysler Tech starts. He starts at the dealership on the 26th,
okay,
and it's
nice.
a AC and heat 21 techs. Wow, that's
21
big.
techs.
We have 11.
Damn,
Hey, we
see,
have 11 at an independent shop, bro.
that's a
11.
lot for an independent shop, man. Like usually I
11.
see like
It's crazy.
4 or 5. You said that's the busiest shop you've ever worked at, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And check
usually
this out. Hang on, check this out. Look at this. Watch. Here's what check this out right here.
the only thing I don't like it has its built-in snap-on toolbox. Okay, see,
That would be crazy. You
that's
bring
an
all your
actual thing
tools
where
to work with no toolboxes?
that kind of suck. You gotta load everything up
I can't
and
even imagine. I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring all
uh
my tools to work.
there's a
Oh,
I've I only know because that's the
my
only one
buddy.
I've
Hang
been
on.
to.
My buddy right here from Instagram. Nah, man, no way. Jose. If you guys saw my stuff, you know how many tools I got. There's no way in the world I can bring my tools to work with no toolbox.
But you know what I mean? It's like, what if you have too many tools? Like,
100
what if there's
work.
like 10? That's a
I
lot.
have way too many toolboxes. I have way too many tools.
But like, there was a Nissan dealership. They actually provided tools and toolbox. Like whatever you needed to work on a Nissan, they had it. Now, if you wanted something to make your job a little faster, like cordless ratchets and stuff like that, then you can get it. But they had the air impact, they had an air ratchet, they had wrenches, they had the specialty tools like in the toolbox, like ready to go. It was crazy, and it was an AC shop. I was like, but I
Wow.
don't
Well,
like the
in
dealership.
Texas too.
Oh yeah, it's barely getting cold right now.
Man,
It's actually cold today.
I've seen some posts on Instagram where they're posting I bought this house in Texas for $500,000, and you look at the house and you're like, damn, this house is huge for 500 grand, man. In California, man, holy crap, dude.
Yeah, it's a total different story.
Man, it's crazy. Most dealers are that way. Wow. Chrysler Tech, where do you live?
I think it's close to you, man. Santa Maria. I don't know how far
Do
that
you
is from
follow me
you.
on Instagram, Chrysler Tech? I'm just curious. I follow a lot of people, and so I'm just wondering. I really don't care if they get into it or not. I just needed to leave Dodge because it was my negative place. I need a job to support my family. Hey, no, I would be the same way, bro. You know,
Oh
what?
shit.
That's crazy though. Wow.
Oh, he just sent me a picture
Oh
of
yeah.
the
Okay.
toolbox that I have.
So I see him on Instagram. Let me see. He just sent me a message, so I don't know. He must follow me.
Is
Okay.
this snap-on toolbox?
Oh wow. Well,
That's
Dazeni, I'm
a
going to send this to you right now.
the snap-on
He just
toolboxes.
sent me a picture of what it looks like
Yeah, he sent
with
me
all the
that too.
toolboxes.
Yeah,
Holy crap. It's pretty
that's not
badass.
bad. That's not bad,
Yeah.
honestly. And it's basically your work table too.
No, that's pretty cool,
Brand new
man.
shop.
Wow.
Huh. I guess it's pretty cool to be a tech, a starting tech at a new shop, honestly, because it's kind of
Yeah.
like a fresh start, I guess.
I almost went to Ford.
That's what I was telling him. If I would have gone to a dealer, I would have went to Ford too, because but at the same time, it's like I don't want to work on same. But if you think about it, I mean, you technically work on the same thing. You work on Fords, diesels, Rams,
No, I work on
Mercedes.
Sprinters. I work on Fords. Yeah, I work
You
on
work
Sprinters and Ford.
Ford, Ram,
I
Ford,
actually probably work on
Cummins,
more Sprinters than I do Power
Sprinters.
Strokes. I work on a lot of Sprinters.
I
guess
work
not a
on.
lot of places work on.
I've never worked on one.
I heard that a lot of places don't work on Sprinters, and so when you have a shop that is good at Sprinters, somehow it gets like in the
Word
Google
around.
whatever. Yeah, and then I have people that have come. I had one sprinter that came. They live 3 hours away. They drove 3 hours for us to work on the sprinter.
Hey, Warner Richards. Nice to see, man. I recognize you from Instagram. Think, yeah. What
Yeah,
was I
yeah,
gonna
that's what I
say?
was saying. That's my buddy from Instagram.
I wanted to ask you something when I was okay. So you've been in the 18 years. Do you plan to retire? Like, at what point do you like? I don't want to hang and bang parts anymore. Like, do you ever see yourself just like doing diags and letting someone else? Hey, this is what it needs. You do the repair. I'll verify afterwards.
Man, I don't know, man. I mean, honestly, like I never really thought about it because it's like kind of far away because I'm 46 and I don't necessarily have like the fat retirement set up because I didn't do retirement for a long time. Um, so I mean I don't really know. I mean one day I would love to open up my own shop, but I live in California and that's just not gonna be able to not be feasible.
Move to Texas. So do what every other California's person's doing. Sell your home, move to Texas, buy two,
Yeah.
rent one out, live in the other, passive income, baby. You know what I mean? Okay, there's a neighborhood
Yeah.
literally like like across the street from me. It's called Solana Ridge. Kid you not, every person that lives in that subdivision are from California. And they sold their house in California and bought either two or three houses in that subdivision and are renting two of them out and living in the other one. And there's nothing but
Yeah.
Audi R8s and Mercedes and Lamborghinis and stuff like that. But I don't know. To me, I guess so. Right now, like since at this shop, like my boss is trying to get diesels, so I can basically become the diesel tech. So I guess in that aspect, it's gonna be more interesting because at the old shop, I was getting to the point where like I'm tired of hanging and banging. Like, oh, here's a transmission, do a transmission. Like, okay, here's an engine, do an engine. You know,
Right.
it's like it's very repetitive. Oh, do this water pump. You know, it's just like it gets boring. You know, like now the only time I like it is like when it's something I've never done. Like I did it doing an engine on a 2019 Ford Ranger. Like it's 3 years old, and I'm doing an engine. You know, so that was something new. Seeing how they have everything, and so that was cool. It's like, well, I've never seen this, never done one. So that's the only time I find something interesting is I've never done it. Like, but at the same aspect, doing a transmission on any car, it feels like basically the same. You got converter bolts or
Right.
bell housing bolts, so like engines. Eh, I don't know. But like eventually I want to I honestly I want to get to the point where I strictly do diags and like rebuilds. Like say a customer comes in and hey, I need a short block done or whatever. Tell that tech to pull it out, give it to me when it's out. I'll do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't want to be the one fucking pulling it out or something like that.
Right. You,
Eventually,
the,
I mean that's
the only
long
reason
term.
I didn't go to Ford because one of the Ford dealers wanted me to come work there. And it was the fleet department. And basically the guy was like, pretty much like, you're just going to work on 6.7s like all day.
All
Like
day.
sometimes a 6 liter will come in, but mostly it will just be 6.7s all day. And the
Because
only reason I didn't go there was, I mean, I've always been leery of the dealer because I've always worked in independent and I always worked on everything. and I was proficient working on everything, right? So in most of my career, I've been at a minimum of 120% efficient, right? So 120 to 150, but I've never been less than 120 prior to the shop I'm at now, because I work on everything. So because I get that Toyota with the misfire and I can bang it the diag real quick and do the repair real quick and lose your ass on a BMW or whatever. You know what I mean? And so it evened itself out. It evened itself out.
Facts.
But I knew that, there was no way that I could go and work on nothing but 6.7s and be proficient because I don't have that much, power stroke experience. Like I have enough to get by.
It's a
And
new ball game.
right. And I couldn't take that chance. And then there was the whole only working on Fords all day long, every day, all day.
Only 6.7s.
Yeah. And so right now where I'm at, I work on a lot of sprinters too now. So I've been at the shop I'm at now, I've been there for almost 2 years. I think the week before Christmas is 2 years.
Yeah, I remember when you went there.
I've been there. It's funny that we talk about sprinters because I've been there for about so I started, I think, a week before Christmas. And when we went home for Christmas weekend or whatever, I was replacing a transmission on a Sprinter.
First time.
Yeah, I hadn't been there long, and I had a Sprinter. So, I don't know.
I don't know. But I mean, out of all the diesels, I mean, I'll tell you what, Duramax would be the last diesel I work on.
Oh wait, where do you live, Chrysler technician? By the way, he lives in California. Yeah, California is crazy because Dazeni, we have all these. We have the Bureau of Automotive Repair, which. So let me tell you why the Bureau of Automotive Repair sucks. So we have the Bureau of Automotive Repair in California, and it has all these laws and rules and regulations about automotive repair. And there's the body shop too. There's the body aspect too, but I'm only talking about the repair side. So the repair side, we have all these rules about what you can and can't do, what's supposed to be done, what's the right way to do it, and all this stuff. And then there's all this write it right. So when let's say, for example, someone brings in a car and they sign the work order for $150 in diag or whatever, right? Let's say it's $150 and they sign it. Whether they sign the drop-off sheet or whatever. Let's say they sign the drop-off sheet. They put it in the drop box. When you get in the morning, you can't just work on it. You have to call them. And, okay, you agree to the $150 in diag. Yes, okay. All right, move forward. Now we move to the next step. So I had a 6.4. Comes in for a check engine light. And they need to get it registered in California, which means they need a smog. That means that it needs to be all legit. Everything has to be there, right? So it's got codes, and it's got no EGR cooler. It's missing. The Wi-Fi back's been changed. No EGR cooler. It's completely blocked off. It's not even pretending to be there. It's just gone. So I put an EGR. So I do my diag. I write it up. All right, it's going to need an EGR cooler. It's going to need the Y pipe in the back, all the hardware, That's that step. I get that turned in, and the service writer calls the customer, gets authorization, okay? And we move forward to the next step, do the repair. Recheck it because they need a smog, which means that the check engine light can't be on. So I get done, needs a fan clutch and something else. Anyways, I get all done with the job. It's like 10 grand. Okay. It's like 10 grand. And there's a company called Bulletproof. So I don't know if you, okay. So Bulletproof in California, probably Texas too. Bulletproof. If you think of bulletproofing a diesel, you think of removing the emission devices. You made it bulletproof, so it won't destroy the engine. Because the whole premise is that the EGR cooler and all that stuff, it destroys the engine. And so people have this thought process that bulletproofing a truck means that you remove no emission devices and whatever. And so but Bulletproof actually is a legit company. So they actually sell parts. And at one point in time, Ford was actually buying EGR coolers from Bulletproof. But anyways, so I put a Bulletproof EGR and oil cooler kit in the truck. It's on the EGR cooler, Bulletproof, with the carb number and everything. It's all legit. So I put it in there. We get all done with the job. And then the customer goes to the bureau and complains. The bureau comes in, looks at all the paperwork. I have to sit down because I was the foreman. And I was the tech that did it, but I was the foreman. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, your face looked funny. And so I sit down with the guy and he goes, well, the first question I have is, you guys have in your paperwork that you bulletproof the truck, but the emission devices are there. I was like, we didn't bulletproof the truck. We put bulletproof parts on the truck. I put a bulletproof EGR cooler on the truck. If you read the notes, it says when it came in, it had no EGR cooler, which in essence, it was bulletproofed, right?
Yeah.
When it came in, whatever. And so, but then here's the crappy part. Then the bureau guy goes through all the paperwork and he says, okay, so you guys didn't put this date on this time when you called the customer for additional authorization. You didn't put the date in this spot where it's supposed to be. And in this time right here, when you called the customer, you didn't put this signature in this spot here. So you didn't do anything right. You did it all backwards. You did it all wrong. And you owe them all their money back except for the diag. We had to give them $10,000 back.
Damn.
And
They got a free
truck was small
fixed.
with all the devices on it. And we didn't do anything wrong. They approved everything along the way. But because the T wasn't crossed where it was supposed to be, and the I wasn't dotted where it was supposed to be, we had to give them all their money back.
That's crazy.
Yeah, very crazy. So you can think about that. That's how crappy California is.
I'm pretty sure people just do that because they know, like, oh, I'm going to do this, get all my money back.
Exactly. So, yeah, it sucks, man. It's
bad for the shop, but at least
you don't like working on Forge, Chrysler Tech? Well, I guess if you work for Dodge, you don't like working on Forge, but why?
I think that's all he's worked at is Chrysler.
But why don't you like working? Oh, I guess anytime you work on something you're unfamiliar with. Like I had a gravy one the other day, man. I had a 99 Crown Vic, came in with a check engine light, lean codes at idle.
Fuel filter?
Piece of cake. Smoke test the intake, pouring out of the back of the intake. It was awesome.
Wasn't it fuel filter?
No, because it was at idle.
Oh,
remember, you just talked about this problem.
I don't know. I was thinking hard start.
All right,
lean code.
Let me tell you a story that I learned about misfires and freeze frame and all this stuff. So a very long time ago, I worked for a guy who was not a nice guy to work for. And I had this Dodge truck, and this guy brought it in, and he said that he had a misfire on a certain cylinder, whatever it was. He took it to the dealer. They checked it out, and they told him that they needed to tear down the engine. So he said, okay, go ahead. So they tore down the engine, and they're like, oh, yeah, you need an engine or whatever. I don't remember whatever it was. An engine. That's what it was. And he's like, you know what? Just throw everything in the back of the truck. I'm going to tow it out. So he gets it. He buys his own engine. And he puts it in. And when he gets done, it has a misfire on the same cylinder.
Oof.
So he brings it to us, and I'm looking at it. And this is a long time ago. This is a very long time ago, 14 years ago, maybe longer. 15 years ago is a long time ago. Anyway, so I'm looking at this truck, and it was sitting there idling, and it was misfiring, and I found out that the PCM was not firing that injector. So it needed PCM. So I got a PCM. I put it in. Put the
Fixed.
PCM in. And when I got done, it, let's just say, I hate to say this, but it's still misfired on the same cylinder. And now I'm in a panic. It's Friday, right? I'm like, crap, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. And my boss wasn't a nice guy. And I'm really stuck. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm really stuck. And so I smoke tested it. No leaks. This is Friday now. I'm looking at this thing. We only work Monday through Friday. So I'm so panicked that I went in on Saturday. I'm sorry, I looked at this thing on Friday until like 8 o'clock at night. Then I went in on Saturday morning. Me and the service writer. And I looked at it all day. Like until 6 o'clock that night. And I still was nowhere. Because I couldn't put any parts on it because we couldn't pay for it, right? Because then the boss would know. And I'm testing. I'm doing everything that I know to do. I'm stuck. I'm really stuck. So I went on Sunday, regular time in the morning. You know, my wife's not happy at all. You know, I'm at work like for free
On the weekend. Yeah.
trying to figure this out. I'm really panicked. Like, oh my god, what am I going to tell the boss? Like, this sucks. Like, I put a PCM in this truck. Like, the bureau's already been down there to look at the truck to talk about, you know, the dealership, you know? And it would suck because you would look at it and you would clear the codes and it wouldn't misfire. It would not show a misfire. And then finally, I think I finally realized on Sunday that it had logic in there that you had to set the crank sensor before it would show a misfire. You had to learn the crank sensor. The only way to learn the crank sensor is to go on the freeway at 50 miles an hour and decel to 40 without a brake 3 times. And as soon as you did that, misfires would register. As soon as I did that, misfires started registering. And I'm like, what the hell, man? I'm smoke testing this thing. I don't have the experience that I have now, you know. And I actually learned a lot from this truck. A lot. And I finally came to the conclusion. I think I finally smoke tested it like a lot of times in a row. Now, if I had had the speed smoke machine the first time, then I would have diaged it right the first time. But the problem is it was a small intake leak. And it wasn't showing with a smoke machine because I wasn't smoking it long enough. It didn't have enough smoke. So finally, I ended up smoking it like 8 times. I just kept pushing the button. I was like, this thing has to have a vacuum leak. Like the minute you open the throttle, misfires are gone. And I smoke tested it for like 10 times. Like I just kept doing it. And then finally, sure enough, coming out of the valley was smoke. And then also smoke from some of the ports on the intake. So it needed an intake manifold. The intake manifold was bad.
Wow.
And so basically what it is he needed an engine, and he took his engine and he replaced it, and he put his shitty manifold back on there.
And it stayed.
And his manifold was the leak all along. Oh, yeah, it sucked, dude. But I'll tell you what, I learned so much from that truck. So Santa Maria, that's in Southern California? Oh, Pismo Beach. Okay. That's down towards Southern California. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. When you were talking earlier about your Hemi with the misfire at idle, so I learned this is my rule of thumb, and take this to your end of your automotive grave. If you have a misfire or a rough running engine, right, and you open the throttle plate and it goes away, The rough running goes away. The misfire goes away. I don't care. You have one of two things. You have a vacuum leak or you have a valve train problem. Valve train meaning cam,
Lifter, push rod,
valve,
or something.
valve sealing, right? So I had a Taurus a long time ago, a 3-liter Taurus. Came in, everything had been replaced. Plugs, wires, coil, everything, right? And sometimes it would show a misfire and sometimes it wouldn't. And it was a cylinder in the back. I can't remember if it was number 6, number 4, number 5. It doesn't matter. Anyways, it was in the back of the motor. And sometimes it would show a misfire and sometimes it wouldn't. So after a whole lot of testing, I came up with that this thing, it's got to have a bad valve. It has to have a bad valve because everything else is testing good. And it slightly failed the block test. And so, but the customer declined the repairs. And one of the technicians bought the car. So he asked me, he came to me and said, "Are you sure it's a valve?" I was like, "Dude, the only thing I didn't do is swap an injector, but I'm pretty damn sure it's not an injector because an injector wouldn't intermittently fail like that." And so he's like, "Okay." And so he pulled the heads off, sent it to the machine shop. It had a warped valve. So it would rotate. And it would seal, and then it would rotate and not seal. And then rotate and then seal and then not seal. And that's what it was. So what I do is if I have a misfired idle and I open the throttle, hang on, I got to address this really quick. Hang on, because somebody's doubting my diag skills. Yeah, it needed a PCM and an intake. No, it didn't need I didn't finish the story. No, it didn't need a PCM, and here's why. I didn't know this, and it's not published in any documents as far as Dodge is concerned, and I didn't learn it until later from IATN. It had a cat-damaging misfire. So the PCM stopped firing the injector. Yeah, so when I was checking it, and there was no driver from the PCM, that's because the PCM stopped firing the injector. So, yeah, there was no driver. So, wait, actually, to answer your question, yeah, it did need a PCM because the PCM stopped firing the injector. No, I'm just kidding. No, actually, the logic was I didn't know. I didn't know the logic. The logic was that the PCM stopped firing the injector after it got to a certain point of cat-damaging misfire, that it just stopped firing that injector to stop dumping fuel. So it did not need a PCM. But anyways, so if you have a misfire, you open the throttle and it goes away.
Valve train or vacuum.
Put a vacuum gauge on the manifold and look at manifold vacuum. First thing you do. Because if you have a valve train issue, then you will have a valve flutter. Your valve will flutter. Now, if you use a handheld vacuum gauge, you have a vacuum pump?
Yeah.
It has a little gauge on there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that gauge is that, it's about that big.
It's the Mighty Vac one. So it's like,
yeah, okay. All right. So it's that big. All right. Do you have a bigger gauge like this?
No.
Okay. You need to buy one. And here's why. Because when you have a gauge this big and you have a valve flutter, it is very, very hard to see sometimes. When you have a slight valve flutter and you have a gauge that's this big, the needle is longer. So you can see the flutter better in a longer gauge. So I have a cheap one. I just have a cheap gauge. And if I ever have an issue where I think there's a movement in my little gauge, I get my big one out. And then I can see it move better. So better, just a little bit. So always, always, always put a vacuum gauge on there, especially if it's an overhead cam engine. Overhead cam engine is usually where you're going to find it. You're not going to find it in an in-block cam because that would just be a misfire. But because... And remember this, if you have a valve flutter and you have a rough running or a misfire and you have a valve flutter, The only way to really truly confirm it is with a running compression test. So remember, a compression test is a static compression. It is the sealing of the cylinder. That's all it is.
Yeah.
A running compression is everything working like it's supposed to be working. Valves, valve springs, valve sealing, lifters, everything. So if you have a valve flutter, all of those components have to be working exactly right, or your vacuum is going to flutter. So, anyways, just a little tip.
Good to know. I like it.
That is my rule of thumb, and I go by that. So, always
Taking it to the
remember that.
grave. Taking it to the grave.
Take it to the grave. Take it to the grave.
But all right, bro, I'm gonna get off.
You're getting off. What?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I know it's late there.
Yeah, I've been up since 5:30.
5. You get up at 5:30?
Yeah.
You're weak. I get up at 5.
Yeah. It's 11:30 for me, so I'm like,
no, I'm just kidding, man. I know. I'm normally I'd be asleep by now if I wasn't on here. My wife, we sit down to watch a show, and I'm like, it sucks because I'll hella want to watch the show.
And then just
yes, we sit down, we start, and I sit down, and we start the show, and it's like every time.
Yeah. Same.
And it's not that I'm not interested. I'll be like, and I'll wake up, and I'll be like, and I'll wake up and be like, I fell asleep. Oh my God, I really wanted to watch this show.
Right back to sleep. Yeah,
it's so bad. I was watching a movie with my kid, and my kid, he watches the movie like this. Dad, hey, Dad, maybe you should get some gum. Get some gum. Just gonna chew some gum. You want to make a cup of coffee, Dad? How about getting us some popcorn, Dad? Like he's like trying to keep me awake the whole time.
Making you move and stuff.
Oh yeah, like 2 weeks ago we watched a movie that I'd seen like 20 times. So he wasn't. So I literally kept waking up, and he's like, "I know, Dad, you've already seen this movie. It's okay." And so he's like, "Just let me sleep."
Yeah, you can rest on this one.
So bad, you know. It's like, all right, son, let's watch a movie together. Oh man,
that's some quality time right there.
Well, cool, man.
All right.
Well, Warner Richards is out. All right, brother.
Later. Good talking to you, man.
Yep. Have a good night, man.
You too. Later.
I'll see you later. Bye.